Okay, welcome, everyone, one and all, to yet another episode of WIC TV. the cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. Today, I'm starting a new segment. It's going to be semi-regular until the election. It's called The State of the Race, where I bring people from left, right, and center together to discuss the state of the race. Funnily enough, we're going to be talking about what each candidate is doing, who is winning, what the messaging's like, how could it be better, what each candidate should do, everything such as that. We got a couple more guests coming. One's going to be a little late. One should be here any minute. But yeah, if you like this content, let me know. If you want this thing kind of thing to continue, you got to let me know. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that. But let me introduce my guests, and we'll get into it. And I'd like you, when you're introducing yourself, just a simple, who do you think is winning, and who do you want to win? Just those two things. We're going to start with Admiral Gibbs. Gibbs, give us what you got.
Hi, I'm, are we doing openings now?
Yeah,
what we're doing?
right
Okay.
now.
Hi, I'm Admiral Gibbs, and I think Trump is winning, and I want anybody but Satan, I mean Kamala, to win.
Beautiful. Okay. Hutch, what do you got?
It looks like it's a really close race right now. If we're taking a gander at all the aggregates, they currently indicate that Kamala has a slight lead. She is continuing to climb. There's some news about RFK Jr. today that could be interesting, and I assume we'll discuss that in a little bit. But I would say that Kamala right now has pretty obviously she has a slight edge.
Okay, thanks for being here. We'll get into it as we go. Katusha, what do you got?
Hi, I think that Kamala seems to kind of have an edge, as Hutch said, but, anything can happen, especially with our age of social media, mass media, people's kind of opinions change on a dime, so I wouldn't really, be able to call it either way, but it seems like Kamala is, doing pretty well right now. And as for who I want to win, I want Kamala to win.
Okay, well, thank you for being here, and we'll get into it as we go. For now, last but not least, until Daniela figures out how to get backstage, Prime, what do you have for us? What are your thoughts?
Hey, friend. First, I just wanted to say hello to my fellow participants. I know Gibbs, one of my favorite people, but it's very nice to meet Hutch and Katsuya. I already messed it up. I'm sorry. Katusha. All right, I gotta write it down. And Daniela's in backstage. But yeah. Anyway, so thank you for inviting me, Wick. So the state of the race is simply that Harris is kicking ass. She is massive. She is on a steady incline. I think she'll get a bump for after the DNC is done. It's an incredible DNC. It's actually I watched a few of these, and this is one of the best. Actually the best. So I think as of this moment, things will always change. That Harris is in a prime position to win.
Okay, thanks for being here, and we'll get into it as we go. And last for now, but not least, Daniela, what do you have for us? Tell us who you are. Tell us who you think is going to win, and who do you want to win?
Yeah, so my name's Daniela Pensack. I am known as a Dialectic Project on Substack and YouTube, but I'm most active on Twitter, just Daniela Pensack. And my opinion on the state of the race is multifaceted. For one, I think that Harris seems to be in more favorability with Americans than Trump. And I think that especially since...
Uh-oh.
What's the mountains?
Centrist technology at work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, hopefully,
yeah.
Hopefully she gets back. Okay. Well.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My connectivity is so bad. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. At any rate, just to make it short and sweet, I think that Harris and her campaign and the Democratic Party in general have really strong messaging on choice, and I think that that's going to be their winning cause. And I think that the Trump campaign should probably be more vocal on their hands-off approach to abortion and states' rights. in relation to that. However, I do think that Harris should have some stronger messaging on the economy, especially as it pertains to capital gains tax and recently what she said about that. And I think that could kill her campaign a little bit. I do prefer Trump to win. I am conservative, but I'm also going to be honest about the state of the race. And it seems like Harris is in more favorability right now than Trump.
Okay. Go
If,
ahead.
if we're in it, can I ask a question then?
Yes, please.
Hello, Danielle. It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So you talked about Trump should be more vocal on their hands-off approach on abortion. Do you think that? Not do you think that Trump will follow through on that promise? Do you think the American people at this point believe Republicans on their position? So a lot of Republicans are saying, "Oh, there'll be no national ban," but then others are saying, "We absolutely will." Right? So do you think that the American people in general, even if they push such a message, would believe Trump?
I think this is more of a question of the Republican Party and the state of the Republican Party more than Trump. I do not believe that Trump necessarily is an advocate for is pro-life himself. I think it's more of an issue with a severely factioned Republican Party and their poor messaging on abortion. Since the Roe v. Wade overturning, the Republican Party, and I've always been vocal about this, have been very schizophrenic in their messaging as it pertains to abortion. You have some legislators wanting to be more centrist about it. Others, like upright, just want to ban birth control. And I think that's very, very poor messaging. Trump has been vocal about that when that did occur, and a lot of Republicans in his base were actually upset about that when he did make that statement on Truth. And I think that Trump more or less has been consistent on it. Granted, I mean, he is a politician, so he will campaign on pro-life issues, and he has in the past. He's like, I think he's attended March to Life as well. So, I mean, in regards to that, he has been currying that base of people, but at the same time, and this is removed from the SCOTUS picks. At the same time, though, I have not seen him make like certifiable strides towards completely banning, or I'm sorry, completely banning it. And in this on this specific campaign, he has made very clear his position on abortion and his desire and how involved he wants to be in it, which seems like he doesn't want to be as involved as some of his detractors claim.
Let me try this to kind of open up the discussion a little bit. What do we think that Kamala's strong? Because most of us here agree that currently, right now, Kamala has a slight edge. In the polls. A lot of the aggregate sites show her with better chances of winning. I think the prediction markets show her with slight edges, very slight edges. I guess my question is, why do we think this has happened? Why do we think that Kamala, who has a messaging that is very, very similar to Biden's, why is she doing so much better than Biden was even just 2 months ago? What are our thoughts?
I think there's a superficial answer to that question, which is that it's not necessarily wrong, but the fact that she is younger it makes a huge difference. That matters, but I think broadly speaking, I think the reason why her campaign has been showing so much success recently is that she's running on a messaging platform of like joyfulness and optimism, and I think that Americans want to feel that again. I think that there's been a certain sort of malaise that's been widespread in the zeitgeist for like over 10 years now. And I think people are itching for a politician to come in there and pitch them on a happy messaging. In 2020, the messaging was about urgency. We got to get Trump out, otherwise it's going to be the end of the world and this kind of thing. And that made sense at the time. But now she has transitioned away from Biden's focus on let's protect democracy, and she's been running a campaign that features a lot of her and her running mate laughing and enjoying the time that they're spending together and enjoying the time that they're spending in these crowds. And I think that is really powerful right now.
Okay, $5 from Artemis Fowl to say the prediction market currently has Trump winning by 3 points. Please link it to me, buddy. I'd appreciate
that changed because of the RFK stuff.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Well, rather than bury the lead, I guess, that's been the biggest change today. I believe it happened. RFK dropped out. Not only did he drop out, I believe he endorsed President Trump.
No. He's going to on Friday is what's being reported.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
why
Yeah,
Hutch is
yeah.
here.
His vice
Correct my,
president nominee was saying that our choices are to stay in and possibly be spoilers, or to like drop out and endorse Trump.
Do we think that this matters to the race, and why?
I mean,
Go ahead,
Definitely.
Katiusha.
I think it matters to the race, but I don't think it well, we don't know exactly who it's going to benefit until we see it, but there is data to suggest that more RFK voters, their second choice was Kamala and not Trump, but obviously that was before any type of endorsement took place. So I'd like to imagine that people, don't just go, "Oh, he said I should vote for them. Let me go do it." But, maybe I'm too optimistic.
Any other thoughts?
Well,
on
it
this?
would
Go
be
ahead.
silly to assume that all like currently RFK is around like 5%. That's kind of been, he went down from like 9%. A lot of those voters went home to Kamala. And I think it would be silly to assume that all 5% are going to go to Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it might be. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go first, please. Go ahead.
No, I've been talking enough. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just I think that it's always hard to predict these things. I think it's definitely a significant event if it happens, right? Because I was looking at those numbers, those poll numbers, and we usually we only see head to heads, like that's usually what's only reported in the media. But if you did include RFK, it gave Kamala a significant lead. So I think there's no reason to think that is not significant. But how much? It's a good question. And on the other end, I don't know if you want to talk about this now. You want to focus strictly on RFK, but like on a similar note, there's reports that like Republican lawyers and part of like the Republican campaigns have been trying to get Cornel West on various ballots, right? Have been trying to do the work to actually make that happen because his campaign is a complete fucking mess. Specifically to be a spoiler for Kamala. And so these little things, assuming it's a close race, can absolutely turn the election.
Okay, so here's my take on it, and thank you for the link, Artemis Fowl. I do see it. $5 from Artemis Fowl to say it was 3 points from Harris policy announcements. It's now a 5-point lead now from the RFK announcement, and $5 from Running Joke to say more joyful wars incoming. Thanks. One of my concerns, right? One of my concerns about all of this is that this is ephemeral. We saw Harris surge in the polls. We saw her go up after the Biden's dropout announcement, and in the ensuing weeks during the DNC, we've seen huge gains, but it's still neck and neck. So I do worry that a lot of these gains are just boosts from the novelty of it all, boosts from the fact that people are trying to figure her out. They don't yet have a way. I guess I'll ask this to the Republicans on the panel, to Gibbs and to Daniela. What does Trump need to do to turn this around, to make it so that he is back ahead in the polls? Or do you think that this is simply a case of he's just going to continuously be behind, but then pull a 2016 and come from behind? What are our thoughts there?
So I think I want to do two things. First, I want to address what y'all were just talking about, and then I'll address this as well. I think that you are right. Actually, I'm going to piggyback off what was just said by your super chat. And what you said, I think it is ephemeral, right? I think this is a bit of a honeymoon period. So you asked why she's been so successful. I think it's a three-pronged thing, right? One, it's somebody new and fresh. I mean, Biden looked like the Crypt Keeper. Let's not kid ourselves. The guy was like 10 minutes from dying every day. And like everybody, every time someone said it was just a stutter, we all knew it wasn't just a stutter, folks. Like the American people felt lied to. And now at least this person can complete a sentence. Like, she might not know where Ukraine is, but she knows how to complete a sentence, right? That's exciting. Then I think I posted a study in Discord. I'll see if I can find it here in a second. But there's been a media blitz that has been overwhelmingly positive coverage of Kamala. And I think that's been outstanding for her. It's been wonderful by her team. It's been good for her from the media. If you're on her side, she's done really well with that. And I thought, like I said, it was a good strategic pick to use Kamala back in the day, like on a previous panel we had on here. And then we talked about policy. This is going to segue into the Trump thing. The nebulous policy has been to her benefit. Not being able to pin her on anything has been a boon to like the Democrats, right? And I criticized her Walls pick because he's had a lot of very, very progressive. Now, if you're a fan of these policies, then you'll like it. But he's got a lot of stuff people can nail down policy-wise on the Republican side. They're like, whoa, this is the great evil. We don't want this, right? And so they can nail it down. And then now, today, I think, is it today that she finally put their policy, or was it last night? I don't remember.
It was like a few days ago.
Yeah,
like
a couple days ago. Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
It was real recently. She posted the policy, and we just talked about her, like the drop that she's kind of received Trump game from this and the RFK thing. And I think part of it has been this honeymoon period. I think Trump just needs to weather the storm, right? I think he needs to not go nuclear. He needs to not go in there and just look like some spiteful, angry old white man, yelling at the DEI hire or whatever, like what he wants to do. I think he needs to just go in there and be like not doing these things, right? He needs to talk about his policy, talk about why it's bad, refer to her failed job as the borders are, refer to like the failings of the Biden admin, talk about how the Democrats have controlled the economy for 12 of the last 16 years and have the only time where there was any decent economy was under Trump. I mean, things are in the shitter. It's ironic that they're running on hope when the only hope we have Democrats in charge is maybe like the Kurt Cobain treatment. It's terrible. It's awful right now, and everybody knows it.
I mean, Kurt Cobain treatment. Could you explain that?
Whoa.
I didn't get
Go
it.
ahead.
Sorry.
A lot of people wanted to respond. Go ahead.
I'm not going to explain that. I think y'all know what that means.
I don't know.
What you're saying about her not having any policies is just objectively incorrect. She's been discussing her policies at the rallies that she's been doing all over the country. People are like MAGA people seem to focus on the fact that she doesn't have it on her website, but who gives a fuck? People get their
not
news
well
from
known.
TikTok.
It's nebulous.
People get their news.
Nebulous.
It's not nebulous. She talks
It is
about
nebulous.
No, it's not. She talks about various concrete policy positions like paid childcare, paid family leave. She's talked about pursuing Biden's Supreme Court reforms. She has talked about signing the border bill into law. She's talked about like 7 or 8 or 9
None
policies.
of these have been concrete, bro. Like she has to act like.
What do you mean then? What do you mean they're not concrete?
All right. All this has been pandering. There's a big difference between.
Define concrete.
Hey, I will define it. I will define it. He goes, it's not a big deal not to have it on our website. What's concrete is when I go, hey, look up Agenda 47, and it's on the presidential website or like campaign website for Trump. He says these are the policies I'm endorsing. Right. This is what I'm doing. It's not. He's over here doing this.
It's not concrete unless
it's
on a website.
Versus this wish-wash. Pandering BS.
That is what you're saying. You can just condense it.
Like you can keep interrupting me, but like listen.
Hold up. One at a time.
You can condense what you're saying to just it's not concrete.
You can't condense what I'm saying because you don't know what I'm saying. Like, listen, Papa, you're not gonna just get me bully me out of like one of my point here.
Listen,
secondly,
she goes back and forth on policy. Like,
I'm saying that she doesn't have a policy. She's been over here taking Trump's policies for the shit that goes well with the crowd, and then she's like the tips, no tax on tips. We've never heard that from Kamala once. Trump says it, boom. Hey, the crowd likes it. I'm gonna use that. I mean, she's only here just workshopping stuff, and if the crowd's liking it, some of them. She's going to put it in her stuff now. That's what it's been. Like, she's out here saying different things to different crowds. That's why it's nebulous.
What do you mean different things to different crowds?
Different things to different crowds. I mean, I think
Can we talk about the tax on tips thing? Can we talk about the tax on tips thing really quick? Because her policy position on that, while being, colloquially a similar thing, no tax on tips, they mean completely different things. Like, Kamala's was to, generally affect service workers and those who are kind of in the working class position in society, but like Donald Trump's no tax on tips would include like corporate bonuses for like executives. Like, these are very different policy positions that they have, even though they're like a similar overall like soundbite idea.
And hers has been economically panned like by pretty much every economist, but
everyone's the economists.
Every single.
Yeah, this is what people do. When they want to win an argument here, like, well, yeah, almost every single economist have said that this one thing.
I mean, okay, well, so
if
y'all want to play that game,
tell me all the economists.
Okay, if y'all want to say that, like we've already talked about polling several times. There was a poll released yesterday.
Hold on,
as far as I know,
just to keep us on track here, do you think that her, in your opinion, nebulous policy? Now, I would ask Daniela, do you agree that Kamala's policy has been nebulous, or do you disagree with that?
Not any more than any general politician. I think people are just becoming more aware of it now. So, because she's just been thrown in the spotlight, they're paying a little bit more attention now than ever before, and so it could appear a little bit more confusing. I would say hers are less, or rather more nebulous than Trump's, but simply because Trump has been president and run before.
Okay.
more than she has.
I
so.
feel like we're getting sidetracked because I don't think this election is going to be decided on policy. Personally, I think
That's-
policies
yeah.
matter, but I think the vibes are going to be driving this election more than policy. People
I
know what
might-
they're getting into with like continuing off of like Biden's stuff. Like Biden delivered a pretty, like by modern standards, really progressive policy agenda, and she's obviously looking to expand on that. And we already know what Trump's policies have been. He served before, so I don't think any of this is like a big mystery. And I just don't think people are going to be like, I don't think people care that she doesn't have policy on her website. Besides MAGA voters, I don't think her voters care.
I want to
Go ahead.
add
Go
one
ahead,
thing
Gibbs.
before we go further. So we talked about polling already, and I found the concept of polling kind of interesting. Like since I don't know, the first like what was it, Trump Clinton election, and even a little bit before that, I've like kind of like been concerned about polling, how it works, and like like people will be like, I've never got a call, yada yada yada. Well, recently we had, I now take this with a grain of salt or what it's worth, whatever y'all want. The largest political poll ever conducted by anybody. And do y'all know who that was conducted by? It was finished today. Elon Musk did a poll on Twitter.
Stop.
On Twitter.
No, hold on. He did a poll on
come on,
Twitter.
not a
Hold
biased
on.
This is
Oh, not a bias.
serious.
Hold
This is
on.
not serious.
Hold
Let's
on.
move
Well,
on.
let
It
me
is
hear.
serious.
Let's hear it.
Let me-
yeah,
let me
where
hear it.
are you going with this? Where are you going with
All
this?
right, so all right, and
land
then
the plane,
allegedly,
buddy. Land
it
the
will
plane.
allegedly has 6 million people that have voted in this poll. And the odds show, or the thing shows, 76 or 77% Donald Trump winning. It said they were voting for Donald Trump, like 77, 76 to like whatever the other percentage is, real tiny, right? That's what his thing has come out. Now, all these other polls have showed them really close nationwide. But when you talk about vibes, and I know I live in Texas, so the vibes are probably a little bit different, but I talk to people all over the United States, and it seems like people are fed up, right? And so it's kind of matching how I talk to in my anecdotal evidence, right? But then I hear the polling from other states, and the sample sizes are like 1,000. Oh, we called 1,000 people in Pennsylvania. It's a swing state. We called 1,000 people in the panhandle of Florida. We called 1,000 people in like,
let's cut
Los
to the chase.
Angeles.
Gibbs.
And so
Gibbs,
like
Gibbs,
whenever
Gibbs,
people,
Gibbs.
hold on, I will.
Well,
I'm
I
right here
pulled
at the end.
everybody
I'm
at
here
a
at the
Trump
end.
rally
I'm
and they
at
all
the end
said
here.
they'd vote
And
for
so,
Trump.
but it's not. But
There's so much
hold on.
stupidity in this, I don't even know where to
I'm almost
start.
done. It like literally like 5 seconds would be done.
You're
And so
wasting
my
our
thing
time.
is,
This
well,
is
you
silly.
waste my time every time you breathe. But so
This
don't
is
talk.
silly,
Right?
man.
Listen.
Hold on.
That's
Anyway,
silly.
so like I can't even finish. You'll keep saying it go long winded, but
Because these
anyway,
are
listen.
stupid points you're making.
Because
Well, let him
stupid
finish.
point.
Hold on, stop,
Listen,
stop.
so the Republicans have been claiming biased polls this whole time with small sample sizes, small areas, and then Elon puts a massive one on, and y'all's first response is, "Oh, it's a biased platform," even though every
Okay.
single one of y'all has a Twitter and could have voted
Moderator,
in this
please.
poll.
Okay.
Make him stop. This is stupid.
Moderator, please! I barely got
Please.
1 point out, and you kept bitching like
Gibbs,
an angry old
Gibbs,
woman.
enough.
10 points.
Enough.
in.
We've got to where we got to go. Let's respond to it. Okay. Gibbs has made his point. Everyone can respond to it now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem with this is, a Twitter poll done by Elon Musk. You mean Elon Musk, who has fanboys who are on the right wing? They responded to his poll.
6 million.
I don't. Yeah. Like we can clearly understand this is not like a scientific poll, so like whatever. And sample size for polls, 1,000 people for a sample size for a poll is actually perfectly reasonable. 2,000 be better, but 1,000 people is perfectly
What about
reasonable.
10,000? Would that be better?
That would be, but
Typically,
yeah,
sample
we look
size
at
is
reasonable.
pretty
Million.
good.
How about a
The
million?
question
Yeah.
is, do we believe the polls? Whether you think they're unscientific or scientific, do you think that the polls
If you
accurately are reflecting reality right now?
I do.
if you go
More
if you
or
go to
less.
if you go to 538's aggregate, they rate the pollsters. They will like give them an A, B, C, D rating, and they give them those ratings based on what their projections were in 2022 compared with the actual outcome. And so some polls are low quality, some polls are high quality. And we have a lot of A-rated pollsters at this point. New York Times Siena, for example, is an A+ rated pollster, and I think they had her up 6 points nationally. They were within 2 points in 2022. Who gives a flying fuck about an Elon Musk poll? Who cares? That is obviously not reflective of the general electorate. It doesn't matter.
Well, how do you
Yeah,
figure?
but I
I
would
just
also
need
say
to-
that it's not in good faith to state that it is not significant somewhat. I mean, I presume all of you guys, other than Gibbs and I, have a Twitter account, correct? And
I have a Twitter, so
I would
Just
say the
let's-
main issue with the Twitter poll is that people have alternate accounts, and that obviously will mess up the poll. But I wouldn't say that Twitter is like a haven for just right-wing people.
Elon is. Elon specifically is.
Yeah, Elon specifically. That's his
Plus-
fan base. Yeah,
Yeah.
he has a very
Twitter's
rabid
replaced
fan
with
base.
an
Sorry.
algorithm. A lot of the
Yeah.
times when people see things,
This sounds like cope. This is cope.
okay,
Really?
it's cope
You
to
really-
say Twitter has an algorithm. That's crazy.
No,
okay.
I mean this is cope. What y'all are doing
Okay,
right
if
now.
Wild.
If Mark Cuban bought Facebook and then did a poll of his followers on Facebook, and then it came back 75% favoring Kamala, would you be like, "Wow, this is"? I'm
I
really
would say
worried
it's
about
interesting.
November.
I'd say it's interesting. I would
No,
like
you would
definitely.
not.
No,
Yes,
you
I would.
wouldn't.
We're getting
Absolutely.
sidetracked on this stupid fucking
Yeah, let's
thread
let's
for
ignore
5
this,
minutes.
please.
This is
No,
ridiculous.
I mean it's
Well,
important. I
hold
think
on.
you-
We talked about vibes, okay? We talked about vibes. And I think that polling can not just indicate vibes, it can also push vibes. There is nothing succeeds like success. A winning candidate tends to win more, right? You tend to get more excitement, get more momentum. People get more interested when a race when your guy or your girl is overperforming in the race, right? People get super excited, they share it. It creates good vibes overall. Do we think that there is I guess, do we think that these are sustainable into November, right? Because we got great vibes right now. I agree on the Democratic side. There's good vibes. People are excited. People are interested again. But then we've had a couple hiccups here and there. The Palestinian protester or the pro-Palestine protesters at the DNC, for example, rushing up on stage, grabbing the mics, shouting.
That's not going to do anything to the
You
polls.
don't think it's
That's not going
gonna
to change it.
affect
No,
the
of course
vibes
not.
at all?
Really
No,
quick,
no.
Wick, when you were, can I
Um,
respond to what you just said earlier about how the vibes and seeing their candidate overperform
Yes.
could,
go ahead.
affect people kind of? I think it does to a degree, right? I think there's a point in which it's like if a poll suggested tomorrow that, Kamala was 8 points ahead, 6 points ahead, 4 points ahead, I'd be like, yeah. If it said she was 20 points ahead, that would not have the same effect and might have opposite because it's completely unbelievable. So I think that it kind of depends. Like it's like if somebody's selling something for, 20% off, you want to buy it. If it's 90% off, you're like, what's wrong with it?
Fair enough. Yeah. I to answer your question, I don't. Well, actually, to respond to something you had said previously, I don't think this is so ephemeral. I think right now, I don't think that Kamal will have smooth sailing from here to the election, and like there won't be some sort of dip, as things progress. To be clear, right? But I don't feel that this is ephemeral, right? Like I feel like we're like finding like the water level that Biden would have been at if he, literally wasn't like physically falling apart and mentally in front of us. If he wasn't racist and genocidal. Like this is the excitement people will be having over his presidency and his policies. We don't have that excitement because he has all those awful qualities. But like I think that Biden would have been able to carry this. And now we get a chance to reset the race in an unprecedented manner, in which we have this new person who seems to carry most of the good things about the Biden presidency, and so far has not really pushed forth the bad things. We'll see on Gaza, but so it seems like to me like this is like the water level, like we're actually discovering where the race was supposed to be, if not for Biden's failures.
Interesting.
I also need to point out that if we're talking about polling errors, like it's true that in 2016 and 2020, the polling errors favored Trump. He overperformed in 2016 and 2020. The race was extremely close in both outcomes. I believe the first time it was the difference between 70,000 votes across 3 states. The second time was closer to 40,000 across 3 states. In the last 2 years since Dobbs, though, we've seen the reverse phenomenon over and over and over and over and over again. All over the country, Democrats overperforming the polls. Now, which is more relevant to be predictive of 2024? I have no idea. Maybe the volatility of both of those things cancel each other out. But if I was MAGA, I wouldn't be like hanging my hat on, well, the polls were wrong in 2016 and 2020 and just ignoring the last 2 years.
What are the biggest concerns, or what are the biggest upcoming pitfalls for the Kamala campaign that you guys can see? What things do cause you to maybe think, well, I have concerns about X, Y, or Z. Is there anything, or is it smooth sailing forever?
I have concerns about, like, obviously there's a possibility of her, saying something or doing something that would lose some voters or splinter kind of the party or kind of like set the hype train a little bit off course. But I do think that kind of as long as she keeps doing what she's doing, like, she's on the right track. But obviously anything could happen.
Gaza and immigration. Again, Biden, genocidal, racist. And he isn't changing track. And Netanyahu has no reason to end this war. He doesn't, like, we're doing ceasefire negotiations. It's complete bullshit because Netanyahu said we're not going to do that, right? And has been sabotaging the whole time. And Biden's even acknowledged this in the past. Sorry, I don't know. Oh yeah, you're talking to Trump. Yeah. Will she change course? And by change course, I mean like even slightly deviate, and that giving people on the Democrat side hopeful that she'll have a softer approach. So far, she really hasn't. So there's that. But also immigration on the other end of this. Like I'm very permissive on the subject of immigration, but I can understand the country's not in that mood. I can understand that this is a weakness. Like people, like this is something that hits home, right? And a lot of Democratic leading cities right now, and they're unhappy with Biden's leadership. So if she doesn't give a interesting path forward here, I think that actually could be a problem.
She's already laid out her immigration policy, which is she would sign the bipartisan immigration bill into law. That policy is supported by 2 out of 3 Americans. So it's kind of a slam dunk for her to just undercut Trump's criticism of her. Our conservative compatriots here haven't spoken up, so I want to give them an opportunity to jump in.
Yeah, go ahead. Daniela, I want to hear from you first, then we'll go to Gibbs.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would probably agree with Prime K's assessment, although I do want to add economy there as well. And I think that's the main issue that I think a lot of Americans resonate with right now, especially. And so a lot of the major talking point that conservatives and Republicans have focused on is the cost of groceries, cost of living, and the housing market. And I think that if Kamala really focuses on making it sound like things will become more affordable, that will resonate to most Americans. Above all other policy issues except perhaps choice. I think if she focuses on that, also the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, I think is a big one she needs to navigate through very carefully if she wants to be successful.
Gibbs.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start with our last topic with this is the vibes, right? I think there's an interesting dynamic with the vibes, and I think that there's a very large demographic of young, maybe possibly undecided voters, or maybe at least maybe not undecided, but people that wouldn't usually vote that might be motivated to vote because of the vibes, like you were just talking about. And on one hand, we have a president or I guess President Trump going on things like Aiden Ross and XQC and dancing and doing what looks like fun, like kind of comical stuff, talking to Elon Musk, like hip things, right? That's a pretty cool vibe. And then the next we have like Kai Cenat, who is the biggest streamer in the world right now, I think. And he's sitting here complaining and bitching about the Secret Service is blowing him up. That's not a good look. I don't care who you are. That's a bad vibe. And if her team doesn't get around this, and plus some of these other influencer scandals, I think that is a pitfall. I mean, I don't know if you think it's a massive one.
Are you serious?
I think it's absolutely a pitfall. You said names. Yeah, we can come back. Y'all can go. Just let me. I'm almost done. I promise. Okay. I think that's a big thing on the vibes. Y'all asked. That's a pitfall I see could hurt her. Immigration. You already know where I stand on immigration. I think immigration is probably the weakest thing. It's pretty clear that the reason immigration has dropped is the success of Operation Lone Star, and that's nothing to do. That's despite the efforts of the Biden treasonous Biden-Harris administration to try and stop them. And then the economy. Everybody can walk outside, just like Bill Clinton said back against Bush Sr. It's the economy, stupid. The economy's bad. Like, we just saw that they lied about the job reports from a couple months ago. I mean, I think that's a pitfall. The idea that we've been in power 12 of the last 16 years, and we're going to fix the economy now? Like, what were y'all doing the last 12 of those 16 years? Y'all were just, like, with finger popping y'all's assholes or what? I mean, it's bad. It's bad. I think those are the big pitfalls.
You're kind of gish-galloping here a little bit.
He does that, yes. He's throwing...
No, that's what the pitfalls were. I just listed 3.
Bullshit things out there.
3 pitfalls. You literally answered this.
Okay. Gibbs, stop. Let people address you. Okay,
A
you
lot of
made
that
some
stuff
claims.
kind of looks
Go ahead.
like, the how do you do fellow kids meme. And like what? Aiden Ross gives him like, a Cybertruck with a picture of the day he almost died on it. Like, and it's just, dare I
cool as
say,
fuck.
strange, just a bit like corny, like a bit like,
No,
I
like
like
Aiden
I
Ross,
don't think
you're
that's
burying
really
the lead
winning with
here.
Trump voters.
That's really they're burying the lead here. Aiden Ross is his audience, right? This is Gen Alpha. Like that's his
You can't
audience. Is
vote.
Gen Alpha. They're like, you can't even vote, right? Yeah. And there was another streamer you named, not Kaisna. I think you named
XQC?
another one. SQC. Yeah, he's got like an audience that'd be more valuable there. But like I think I think us terminally online
XQC's
people
a cloud
think.
chaser.
Yeah, I
as
think us
well,
terminally
openly.
online people think that these people have more clout. Like Destiny, oh, he's a really important person. No, he's not, right? It's just like let's
You don't
scale
think
this.
Destiny influences his base?
No,
His
I'm
base.
I'm making a point that like internet celebrities are not actually that
I
as
guarantee you
impactful.
that
Um,
Destiny's
but-
crowd is way more engaged than XQC's and Aiden Ross's.
No, I
guarantee
hear you. No, I hear you. I'm saying that like in terms
I mean,
of
but this is the
size and like
future, right? Like,
impact
these
on the
guys are
national
influencing the future.
conversation. That's all I'm saying.
Destiny's crowd also
Wow.
tends to be old enough to vote, like a
Yeah,
bit more
at the
than
very
like
least,
Aiden
yeah.
Ross.
Yeah.
I mean, and I want to respond to one thing though. It's not a gish gallop when the question was name pitfalls, and I named 3 pitfalls. You can't say gish galloping when I'm just trying to answer the question. Like
I think it was fair.
That's
I think
bad
it's
faith, Papa. That's bad faith, and you know
No,
it.
it was not fair.
It's not.
A gish gallop is when you throw like 7 or 8 claims, and then
I threw
if I
3
want
claims.
to tackle what you, no, it was
And
like
a bunch
7
of
or 8, bro.
sub-claims.
I didn't even bring up a
at one
4th
point-
claim, which was the Israel
at one
Palestine.
point. At one point,
Okay.
you said that Democrats have been in charge for 16 years. I'm sorry.
12,
What happened in
12 of
2000
16.
What
12
happened in
of 16.
2016? What happened in
12 of 16.
2016?
How many times did I say 12 of 16? I
That
know
was
that
the
it's hard to
Obama
keep track of
shadow
numbers.
government.
No, they
I know
were
it's hard to
not.
keep track
They
of
were not-
numbers.
No,
12,
no,
12 Democrats have been in charge 12 of the last 16 years.
Enough.
Are
12
you,
of 16 years
are
is
you,
what he
are you
said.
just referring to the presidency? Like the Congress controls the purse, bro. So if you have a divided Congress, that doesn't mean that Democrats were in charge. That's a divided government. So that's bullshit. And then you throw like 5 other things. It's just exhausting with you.
But he he actually was asked to like list his perspective.
Brian.
So like that's I don't know. But in any case, we can move past it, right? Yeah. So I was gonna ask a question if Vic would allow me. It goes back to what someone said. I forget which one, but talking about Trump, like basically recentering his campaign, because they were stating that the way he's campaigning now, if you can even call it that, is a mess, right? With the name calling and whatnot. So I've read articles talking about how Trump's campaign, like he has a solid campaign behind him in terms of like the workers there, right? Who are doing the mechanics of the campaign, trying to set the agenda and all that. But they keep getting undermined by Trump himself, right? Like the Mar-a-Lago speech, like that happened like a week ago or so, right? Which was like all over the place and like widely panned, even on conservative media. His campaign didn't plan that. He just like they were actually having a campaign meeting at the time, trying to figure out what we're going to do for the future. But on the other side, Trump is like, I just want to talk to the media now, and then he does this, and they have to clean up the mess. So my question is to our Republican friends and anyone else: do you think that he is capable of recentering, or because he's like very emotional based? I think you'd agree, right? He's an emotional based person that he's just going to do what he's been doing.
This is a bit of a rhetorical question. I think everybody on this panel knows that he has no discipline to stay on message. Would anybody disagree with that?
I wouldn't disagree with that. I think that's a big part of why he resonates with a lot of conservative people right now in America. And that kind of distinguishes him from the history of all the other politicians that have run for president. He does need to be reeled in a little bit, though. I would agree with that if he wants to be successful. But is that possible? I don't know.
You said
that remains to be seen.
You said something there that I want to interrogate a little bit. You said that one of the reasons that he's appealing to a lot of conservatives right now is because he's off message. He's doing a quote unquote like he's untamable. He can't be reeled in. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? I'm just trying to kind of see where you're coming from here.
Yeah, well, like a main example that comes to my mind, as someone that's worked at major conservative events, I used to work for Turning Point USA, for example. So we always had to schedule his, when he would come out and speak, right?
Wait, who's
He would
he?
always,
Charlie
he,
Kirk?
yeah,
Kirk.
Charlie
Okay.
Kirksworth. And he, for instance, he would come an hour late and speak like 3 hours beyond the time limit or so. Like he's known, that's like one example. He doesn't keep to schedule. He doesn't stay on script. But so just from like anecdotal experience, but also I think most of us can agree, like even in media, they present this narrative as well, that he kind of seems to be his own guy, and he follows his own kind of like dances to the beat of his own drum. And I think a lot of Americans see that, and that's why it resonates to them or with them so well.
So you're saying that
Uh,
that's a positive rather than a negative. That's the fact that
I
he isn't
personally don't
controlled by
like it,
the. Okay.
but I personally don't like it.
Sure.
But there seems to be two aspects of the conservative movement right now. It's like the populists, and I guess what you would call the non-populist or elitist or whatever you want to,
Which camp are you?
establishmentarians. I I was called an establishmentarian.
Okay.
So I was not a big fan of Trump initially. However, I do think he is necessary right now. And he was necessary in the past at some points. So I do not think he's someone that should stay in office for, an extended period of time. I think that'd be very bad. But that's removed from the subject.
We'll
I think
see.
for most Americans, most grassroots Americans and conservative populists, he does resonate with them, blue collar workers,
Uh,
and that's why he has been so popular.
I
Why
think
do
that
you
helped him in 2000. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask, why do you think specifically he's necessary right now? Like, necessary for what exactly? Like, what's he doing that's
Well, I
helpful
mean, I think the economy
right
is in a
now?
very poor state. I think that our immigration policies of the past and just the border right now needs to be rectified, and we need to have common sense policies regarding or approaching that. And I think that the Democrat Party has done very poorly to address those two main issues. There are other remaining issues that I think should be addressed properly as well, but I think those are two main ones, especially economy. And I just think that a conservative administration would be better in addressing that than
Okay.
a Democrat
Let me restate my
administration.
question. So that is an answer that I could, that could generally apply to most conservatives, but you said that somebody like Trump right now, like how he is necessary right now. And then the reasons you gave were just for a conservative, nebulous, like a Republican. So what do you think it is about specifically Trump and his rhetoric that's helpful right now?
Unfortunately, he does seem to be the most appealing candidate for conservatives. And why that is a bigger question. Why populism specifically or populist rhetoric is so popular or necessary right now, I wouldn't know. It must be a question of the overall political zeitgeist. I don't necessarily think it is the most effective means of doing that. It just seems to be at the moment. It just seems like most people want that right now. I think that the conservative movement or the Republican Party has a lot of changes that need to occur if it wants to be a very functional party, and it clearly isn't right now. But he just seems to be the most mobilizing force right now, and that's just the case. So my opinion on Trump is really like, it's more so like it's not the guy I want, but it's the guy I kind of am dealt with, so I have to deal with it. And I think because he is the most mobilizing force, and you can't deny that. Like ideally, I would want a libertarian candidate, right? That's not going to happen. So I can't have what I ideally want, but I have to
Uh,
use what I
But
think is
don't
the
you
best
think
of
he
two evils.
pushes a lot of people
Let's give it
away?
to let's give it to Hutch
Sorry.
and let him
Well,
get
just
in
to
here
kind
on
of
it.
piggyback off the economy thing, like, do you think that, just real quickly, I mean, do you think that the country would have avoided sort of the high inflation if Trump was in office?
I think it would. Yeah, I think that it would have been more effective. I think his
And
administration would have been more effective in addressing it,
that's
especially as it pertains to taxation.
What would he have
Um,
done?
that's difficult for me to process because anytime he's ever been asked about like what would you do about inflation, the only thing I've ever heard him say, literally ever, is that he would drill more oil. And Joe Biden drilled more
Mhm.
oil than Trump did, and that didn't fix the problem. And when you look at the United States economy compared with the rest of the G7 nations, we fared better than every country on that list. So
sure, of course.
I fail to see
Yeah.
how the Republicans would have like avoided inflation when we're talking about like supply chain issues and these kinds of things.
No, of course. I'm not saying that the United States is like economically destitute, especially as it compares to other nations. That's certainly not the case, especially since we are relying a lot on immigration to fill those gaps. But at the same time, I do think that the United States needs to be more economically independent. And to do that, we do need to make serious changes in the way like we offshore services and how we obtain services from other populations. I think that's a major step in being more economically independent. And also, Trump reflects a lot of the conservative ideology as far as it relates to taxation. And I think that if Trump is in office, that will also spur local governments to be more conservative as well. And I think that has greater impact on local communities in terms of taxation specifically and business growth than if we have a Democrat president.
Right.
So
I have
you
a
must
question.
have been real quick. Let me piggyback off of that.
Sorry, go ahead.
So you must have been a fan of the fact that that Biden, for example, added way more manufacturing jobs than Trump, right?
Yeah, perhaps you would have to like refer something specific to me because what do you mean exactly? Way like pertaining to what within the United States?
Within the United States, yeah, he added hundreds of thousands more manufacturing jobs through things like the Chips and Science Act and the IRA.
Sure, of course.
Oh no,
That's
these
really
connection issues. You know what?
Positive, but we would
you
have
said
to.
Could you repeat
Yeah,
it
can you
again?
repeat it? You
Yeah,
you
can
cut
you
out for a
clarify?
while.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I cut out?
Yes, you cut
Yes.
out. Can
Go
you
ahead,
repeat
we
what
hear
you
you.
just
Apologize.
said? And then we got some super
Okay.
chats, and then we'll get to kind of
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
As far as the manufacturing jobs are concerned, if Biden really did do that, I have to look into what you specifically referred to. That would be very great. However, I also think that we need to also, in tandem, and Owen mentioned earlier, address the immigration issue. In reference to that, are those manufacturing jobs going to the American population or newly coming immigrants from other countries?
Yeah, these are typically American jobs filled by American citizens.
American job.
No, she's
of
asking.
Filled by
course.
Americans.
Yeah.
Statistically, I don't know how accurate that is. So like I would have to look into that specifically. But if that is the case, I think that would be a positive policy. I'm not like black and white on the issue. I just think American economy should be the number one centric issue. But it also relates, and it always almost relates with immigration as well.
I mean, there's one thing about the economy. I think y'all are kind of hitting on it like on a roundabout way. Is y'all talk about the stats, right? And this is like when we were talking about the vibes thing. When you go to the store, right? Like the general consensus is that it's bad, right? And like there's that expression about liars, right? There's good liars, bad liars, and then there's statistics, right? And that's kind of how all Americans feel, right? We're sitting here, we're going, hey. Oh, the economy's good. We added however many jobs. And then it's like, well, no shit. We have however many jobs. I fucking have to work 3 of them to pay my mortgage or rent and get groceries, or, whatever.
Mortgage and a rent?
I mean, not me. I'm not using me as specific. I'm talking about Americans in general here. Like, so you go and you got these issues that haven't worked all these jobs. They go out inflation. They go to the like grocery store and hey, everything's more expensive. Inflation's clearly a problem. And then we're just sitting here and it's just like they're being lied to. And like, so whenever you say stuff like, oh, they create all these manufacturing jobs, I'll be the first to admit the chips thing was great. Guess who's benefiting the most from that? Texas is building a whole bunch of chip stuff. Like, just like when Obama did Clash for Clunkers, wasn't a fan when it came out, but guess what? That was a very successful policy, right? Like I can give credit where credit's due. And I don't know. I haven't seen very much evidence other than the chips thing, which is, like I said, in Texas. And that's a very small, like, niche market even then. I mean, it's necessary for national defense. Thank God he did that. But like when you talk about manufacturing jobs or like drilling, well, okay, well, who lowered the restrictions on drilling? Well, that was Trump. Trump lowered restrictions on drilling and made it be something as fast as 30 days to get a permit. And then this is just Biden and them taking credit for Trump's administration's success on something and then not giving any credit where it's due.
Okay. I mean,
So-
Biden drilled more oil than Trump did.
Okay.
Yeah, why?
Okay.
Why is that? What did I just say before that?
If Trump,
I know you don't listen to half.
restrictions,
I
if
just
Trump
don't-
didn't,
I mean,
then
I know
let
it's
me
hard
read
for you to
some of these
follow
wants to do
the
that.
point. I know it's hard for you to follow the train of thought. I said they lowered restrictions on permits, and then thus, when Trump went out of office, hey, since permits are lowered and they're easy, restrictions are lowered, guess what? You're going to have more drilling. It's
Yes.
an A plus B equals C.
Let me
I know
have a
read
it's
these.
question about
Let
the
me read
growth.
these super
Yeah.
chats, which people have given me money to do, and I feel bad because I've been ignoring them. And let me get to them. And they will address some of the things that have been said. $10 from Artemis Fowl. Say, I guess I will ask this question. For the 4 Kamala supporters on the panel, have those good vibes been reflected in a Democrat voter registration bump since she took over the primary position?
What's more relevant, voter registration bumps or aggregate polling? This is Cope.
$5.
This is like people that want to talk more about like betting markets than polling aggregates. It's just silly.
Yeah, I never got that.
Should I wait till after the super chats to respond?
And we'll get to them all because there's
Okay.
Yeah. $5 from Artemis Fowl, who is single-handedly funding my stream today. Thank you for the $5. Kind of hard to use the extra oil you drill to reduce prices at home when you export it all instead to subsidize nations in order to undercut Russia. And then $10 more from our friend Artemis Fowl. The net gain in full-time jobs has almost entirely gone to H-1B holders or foreign workers. It is a well-known statistic that American citizens have less full-time jobs than they did in 2019. Okay, and now you guys can address anything.
Could you restate the Kamala Harris question, please?
For the 4 Kamala supporters on the panel, have those good vibes been reflected in a Democratic voter registration bump since she took over the primary position?
Actually, I don't know the answer to that. But also, I think I was included in that list. I'm not a Kamala Harris supporter. She hasn't earned my vote yet.
So you're not voting for her?
As of now, no. Yeah, like to be very clear.
Why not?
Yeah.
I will tell you right now. To be very clear, I'm a one issue voter. It's are you for or against genocide? It's that simple. It's a moral issue of our time. Are you for or against genocide? And I am waiting to see. I'm hopefully waiting to see if Kamala will address that. Will she?
Okay, I gotta ask this. What would signal that she's against genocide to you?
Sure. Well, one, to a stated policy change, right?
To what?
But sending arms to Israel, that would be a policy change, right? If we, I like the policy position I would prefer is a straight up arms embargo, but that's not going to happen. I understand that, right? But we can condition military aid to Israel, and we could just follow the law. The Leahy Act currently on the books says that if we should be assessing the human rights record of the countries that we're sending arms to, and Israel, genocide have been documented by the UN, by most of the notable.
What do you mean?
Sorry, what? What am I mean? About what?
You said genocide's been documented by the UN. What do you mean? No,
I'm saying the UN has called it. Sorry, if I misspoke, but the UN has said that it's probable genocide, and international organizations have said this is absolutely a genocide. So, in any case, if we just follow the Leahy law, right, then yeah, that would go ahead.
It's right, though. The Biden-Harris administration just funded, a $20 billion aid package to Israel? That seems like they're pretty in favor of Israel.
Well, no, that was, to be fair, that's Biden. She has no control over that. That's why
she's in charge of it. She's like,
she's not in charge of anything. She's a vice. Hold on, come on.
She does everything, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not even, to be clear, I'm not a Harris supporter. I've been a Harris hater for years, right? But I'm looking to see if she will change on this topic. I'm open to her to see the change on this topic. But to be clear, she didn't have power. She's a vice president. She's not making the decision. It's Biden.
Didn't you post it? And I will admit, I didn't read it. I just saw the headline. I was scrolling through X today to get ready for this. But you post something about if they have to copy and paste the Biden policies, then you would be
I'd be happy with it, yes.
So this seems like a copy and paste policy, right? Like, why wouldn't this be a copy and paste situation here? Why do you think she would change?
Me? Are you asking me why?
Well, hold on. I want to make sure that we don't delve into an Israel-Palestine debate right now. That's not the topic, right?
Right.
Well,
I have a question about electoralism for Prime, basically. That isn't just on the specifics of Israel-Palestine, but on weighing issues. So my question here is do you acknowledge that in any way, or in possibly many ways, she would be better even if she took the exact position Biden has on those issues than Donald Trump? And even if they were the exact same, she would still be way better than him, in your eyes, in the domestic policy arena than Donald Trump?
hold on. Okay, these are two different questions. So if you're talking about domestically, well then yeah, I agree. Like I'm a leftist, and so
Right.
I'm more inclined to agree with her on domestic issues. Absolutely, and with Biden, there are a lot of successes of the Biden administration. Now, separately, were you asking me about Israel, Gaza, and like whether?
Sorry if I kind of didn't say that like the best
Yeah,
I
take your
could,
time.
but I was kind of connecting them two together. Like, if we can acknowledge and we can understand that, at least in your opinion as a leftist, there would be a lot of, domestic policy pluses to Kamala, as well as kind of, evading some of the really bad stuff that, in our eyes, that Trump wants to do. So in addition to that, Trump would probably be worse given his stated position and the stuff that he wants to do in his discussions with Netanyahu for Gaza than Kamala or even Biden would. So I just don't understand what the utility is.
Sorry, I don't know how much worse things get when you're actively funding a genocide and you give almost zero pushback to anything that Israel does. I don't see the difference, and that's not good enough for me. To be clear,
I guess
my
what I'm asking
vote,
is like,
my
why don't
vote
you make
must
it a
be.
copy and
Hold on,
paste?
let me
Let him
finish
finish.
the point.
You got to
Yeah,
let Prime
just-
finish. Prime, finish your point.
I'm almost done.
And we're gonna let Hutch respond, and then we're gonna let Gibbs respond.
Sure. Yeah.
I just want a clarification.
My vote must be earned, right? If the best you can do is a slightly lighter, kinder genocide, that's not good enough. I won't have that blood on my hands. I won't vote for a genocide. So simple as that.
Okay, thoughts from the peanut gallery here.
Yeah, I just wanted to know why. Yeah, Hutch, I'm sorry. I just one question for Prime here. Why don't you? So I know, like Wick said earlier, there might be copy and paste, so you'd be okay with that. What gives like you the indication that this is not a copy and paste like policy? One of the policies that Kamala is going to copy and paste from Biden. Like, because you kind of pushed back on the idea this would be like you said, oh, that 20 billion's Biden, not Kamala. She has no power. What indicates to you that Kamala wouldn't continue this policy, or what indicates to you that it would continue? Is I guess my question.
Sorry, I might have some background noise. I do apologize. I'll keep myself on mute. But that's what I'm saying is that like I don't yet have the indication that she will change from the status quo. Right? I'm waiting her to show me, and I'm open to it. I really am. I'm looking very closely. But until that happens, then I will withhold my vote. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hutch, please.
I feel like it's a bit myopic to state that you can't imagine how things could get worse. Is that a serious statement?
Oh, okay, yeah. Israel can nuke Gaza. No, yes, trust me, I can understand that. But if we are going to continue to just fund the genocide, that's a problem. That's a problem for me, right? So no, I won't vote for like genocide on one hand and slightly harder genocide on the other hand. I won't do that.
Even if I accepted your premise, that premise, why not? Let's just accept the premise. A slightly less bad genocide. Why would you not support that?
No, thank you. No, thank you. I won't bloody my hands that way. Like if that's good enough for you, if it's
power
simply
wash,
that
you couldn't power wash your hands clean.
That like I will.
Okay, hold on.
Right, but wouldn't there be?
I don't know.
One at a time. Hutch, we're gonna give
the
we're gonna the mic to Hutch, and then we're gonna let you respond, Prime, and then we're gonna move on a little bit.
You not participating electorally in any kind of meaningful way, whether that be by abstaining or voting third party or whatever, that doesn't keep your hands clean. I mean, you're still like partly responsible for what follows. And what we saw during the Trump administration was that for the first time ever in United States foreign policy, our policy was not pushing for a two-state solution. He just completely iced Palestinians out of all negotiations with all those neighboring Arab countries. He normalized relations in Qatar, started to normalize in Saudi Arabia, all over. And part of the reason why October 7th happened in the first place is because Palestinians felt like the world was forgetting about their plight. And that happened because Donald Trump just didn't really consider them. The best he offered them was a $400 billion investment if they just basically just accepted all of Israel's demands. That was a total departure from U.S. foreign policy for decades. So for you to say like, well, I don't understand how it could get worse.
Sorry, hold on. Like, don't condescend to me. Like, I don't understand. Like,
Well, you're
how?
saying silly things. That's
Yeah,
a silly thing to
don't
say.
condescend to me. I won't take it. It won't happen with me. All right, do that with someone
I
else,
don't know
not
what
me.
that means. What you're saying
Any
is
which
silly.
way. Well, shut up, and maybe you'll find out. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I understand that in terms of like Trump's policy and how they directly led to the situation. The other thing that led to this situation is that, at least as far as I know, for the first time, the United States has completely like abdicated its responsibility as to stopping, being a responsible partner within this conflict. Right? How do we end this? We simply stop the shipment of arms. Israel cannot prosecute this war without American weapons. Simple as the case, right? Just like in Ukraine, can't prosecute the war without American weapons. So if we stop sending it, that ends the process right now. So what else? The other thing that's put us in this situation is President Biden. Let's not forget that. And again, I don't vote. Hold on. I'm last thing, and I'm ready. I'm almost done. Is that I don't vote blue no matter who. Right? Again, my vote must be earned. If you are not up to my moral standards, I won't vote for you. Simple as that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's
Will
people
you-
like you.
And hold on,
that-
can I
that-
ask-
you know,
Well, then
Okay,
maybe
I know
what you
everyone
need
wants
is-
to. I know
if
everyone
people
wants
like
to go on this. We can have an Israel-Palestine debate sometime. It'll be great, but that's not our conversation for today. It's not the topic for today, right? I promise you. We're gonna get $10 from Artemis Fowl to say voter registration is a clear indication of hiking enthusiasm and converting it into voter turnout. Republicans have been crushing Democrats in registrations this cycle, and Dems have lost registered voters.
okay, let's see how that plays out.
Yeah. To kind of get us back on track a little bit. So I think what this discussion has indicated is that there are undecided voters out there still who are still waiting for a candidate to do or say something that will win them over. What do you think, and this is to everyone, what do you think Trump's best bet is? If he wants to win people over, what is the best path, in your opinion, that he has going forward? And I want to start with the libs this time. I want to start with the Democrats and hear their thoughts on this. And I want to go to Katiusha first, then we'll go to Hutch, Prime, and yeah.
I'm gonna honestly take the position that I don't know like how much he could do to like change his change his situation into some dramatic, way to affect a different outcome than what is already set into course, given pretty much everybody knows who Trump is, knows what Trump stands for, knows the type of guy he is. But I mean, if anything, probably, getting on the campaign trail more and working on saying things that make sense a bit more. Because he's kind of been a little bit like MIA lately. Like he did that thing in Montana, which is not a battleground state. And then he's just kind of been a little bit floating around since then. Like, it's kind of like a where is Trump moment.
There's an important Senate race in Montana, which is why he went. Not because it's like a crucial
Right, because
for the president.
that was because of the guy that had an issue with his personal doctor, right? That he wanted to. It was like kind of a spite trip, wasn't it?
I don't know that, but there's a really important Senate
Right.
race in Montana between Tester and Sheehy, and so I think that's why he went there. But to Wick's question, I think Trump, if he wants to win, should stop doing as many press conferences. He should stop doing as many interviews. He should stop doing as many rallies. He should talk less. He should basically hide in the basement because he can't help himself but be himself. I don't know who thought it would be a good idea for him to go to a National Association of Black Journalists live audience. That was insane to me. I don't think he should have accepted the debate with Kamala. He keeps calling her stupid, and his voters just mindlessly parrot this nonsense that she's stupid. Okay, let's see how September 10th goes, because I think she's going to humiliate him.
Do you think?
I think it is going to be brutal.
Sure. So I'm hearing reports, and it keeps changing what people are saying. Currently, as I understand it, Trump wanted to have a debate on Fox News with Kamala Harris on September 4th, I believe.
She never agreed to that.
Yeah, I don't think she ever agreed. Do you think she should?
She doesn't have to right now. She's gaining. So like he's the one that's got to make he's the one that has to reverse this momentum.
Okay.
Like I think she would be capable of doing that, but I don't think she needs to. No, there's no evidence to suggest that.
Okay. Well, then I want to hear from Prime, and then I want to hear from Gibbs, and then Daniela will be last. And yeah.
So just before I answer that, I want to comment on the Kamala Harris debate thing. So for the most part, I haven't bought into this narrative that Kamala's hiding right now, and that's a big problem for the people. All right, it hasn't been an issue, right? The fact that she hasn't been doing interviews and all that, and I don't think people care as much, right? They're happy to have this. I think to Hutch's point previously, right? This is not going to be necessarily a policy race, and so it seems to me that at this point people are very tolerant of her being silent. But I also think that at some point there can be a strong enough narrative that she is hiding and she's she's not capable of actually testing her ideas, right? We saw which was in the previous Democratic debates where she was a complete goddamn disaster. And so I think that would at some point be a sort of issue, but I don't know. In terms of Trump, gosh, it's a tough question you ask, Wick. A really tough question. I guess I'm close to was it Hutch on this is that his temperament is simply. I mean, it's a little issue, right? If we're still dealing with the same human being, right, being Trump at the head of this ticket, if we're dealing with him rather than the ideal Republican candidate, then it's a hard path forward if he continues to behave in this way, right? Now, I think I believe in Donald J. Trump. I believe that he could be better, right? That he's capable of getting his mind right. We got months until the election. Time's running out, of course, but I think that at some point he can turn things around
Not that many
mentally.
months. It's very close.
Yeah, not that many. Yeah, I know. I agree, right? Yeah, not that many months, but I think that he is capable of doing that. If he did, right? If he did, I would lean into immigration, certainly. I'd say the economy. I'd lean into housing. Housing would be where a good place to start. He fumbled this question. One of his supporters asked him at a MAGA rally about how to bring down rents, and he really fumbled this question. If he could have a great answer to that, this is what my administration will do to answer to get people either in houses or more affordable apartments, that'd be fantastic.
Okay. Gibbs, thoughts? If you're talking, we can't hear
Yeah,
you.
sorry. Trump's best path, right? That's the question here. Okay, so yeah, I think the first you should talk. All right, hey, listen. Before we begin, if anybody needs to get the notepad out to follow the dots, so I get accused of gish galloping, now's the time because it's gonna be a multi-pronged thing. I know that's difficult for some people. Economy, that's gonna be the first one. I think that I've already kind of gone over those. We're not gonna rehash that again. Foreign policy, I think, is a big one, right? We just heard Hutch advocate against Mideast peace. He doesn't like the idea of Israel normalizing relations with all these people. Mideast peace is bad. I think Trump should capitalize on that. He should talk about his success with getting these normalized relations between countries that have traditionally hated each other, with Saudi Arabia and Israel. I think that was a good thing. I think things like taking out General Salami, turning them into salami, I think that's a good thing. I mean, beating Russia in Syria when they were fighting with their little Wagner group, I think that was good. I think meeting North Korea's leader, seeing what's up, and dropping his balls on his face, I think that was a big move.
Okay, but what could Trump do on the campaign trail?
I will. I'm going to tell you. I mean, I think reminding. Hold on. Let me finish. I think reminding these people of his perceived strength in the foreign realm, a leader like Putin's going to respect Trump a lot more, in my opinion, than. Is he going to really see Kamala as a strong leader? I don't think so. I don't think these people are going to respect her. She doesn't have this strong aura, in my opinion. I think that, in fact, when she does come off as strong, this might not be fair, but her staffers have called her mean, bossy, bitchy, all these terrible things, and just I think that is not going to look good on her when it comes to leading. This is her staffers have reported this. I think immigration is something he needs to harp on. It's clear that Project Lone Star was the reason for the drop in immigration, despite the treasonous Biden-Harris administration's attempts to stop it. The debate, y'all brought that up. I think railing on her being afraid of the debate is a good tactic. I just
Think that's a
yelling at
winning
her, being
tactic?
scared.
Okay.
I think it is a winning tactic because everybody wants to see these people debate once. It's just crazy that in modern times the idea of two actual presidential candidates not having a conversation and let's see the drastic difference between the two is like even a real thing. I get that it might be good
Don't they have a
strategy.
scheduled debate on the 10th?
Yes.
Who? Kamala
Yes.
and
Yeah.
Trump?
Yes.
Well, good. I hope so. I mean, I think the debate's his time to shine. I like the idea that it might not happen is kind of scary to me. I really hope that it happens.
We'll see.
And then, yeah, we'll see, right? Like that's
We'll see
not
how
something I
that
thought we'd
goes.
be saying during a presidential election.
No,
We'll see about a
The
debate.
debate will happen. The debate will happen. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, good. Well, then that's good. We'll see how it goes. I think those are the things. Trump needs
Yeah.
to look good in the debate, and they make her look weak.
Okay.
I have a question for Gibbs.
Before
Do you think that Putin's really attracted to a strong aura, or maybe he's attracted to Trump's stupid aura, like easy to control aura, like, very influenced base aura, in control of the US if he wins aura?
Like, I get that
I
it's
don't
like a meme to be like, oh yeah, Trump's stupid. Oh yeah, Kamala's stupid. But let's be honest, we all know that these people are at least above average IQ to be at this point in their lives to be leading and like having whatever. Like, no, I don't think that Trump is. Putin's over here like I can outget Trump. No, I don't think that's what he's doing. I think he definitely would respect him more as a strong leader comparatively. I mean, he didn't
He'll say
invade
that in
anybody.
public.
Well, he
Above
didn't- he
average
didn't- he-
IQ for Trump? No,
He didn't. I know that y'all, but hey, listen. Under Trump, nobody got invaded by Putin. Under Obama and under Biden, guess what? We've lost half Ukraine. Like, I mean, so who won
Okay.
that one?
Ukraine?
I want
You
to.
don't want to talk
What?
about Ukraine right now.
I'm sorry, have you seen a map?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
think you wanna-
the
I don't think
Ukraine
you wanna-
invasion is going well on their side when the Russia, but I'm following. It's a bad look though that Russia invaded again.
I do want to hear.
Yeah, it's bad for them,
Daniela's
true.
answer to the question. Before I read.
I agree.
the
It's
super
not-
chat, so.
It's not far from removed from what Admiral Gibbs said. I will say, I mean, he's known for his immigration stance. He's known for being the strong leader. He really should lean into his identity as that type of person. But he needs to focus on the economy issue, really. He really needs to focus on that right now. I really think the number one thing Americans are really concerned about is their wallets. He needs to talk about housing. He needs to talk about the economy. He needs to talk about affordable groceries. And he really needs to flesh out his policies, not to the point where people get bored. Obviously, your average American doesn't pay attention to policy. But he needs to focus on economy. He needs to lay off women's issues and focus on economy. He's known for his immigration stance. Maybe, let go of that a little bit. Economy. That's all I'm going to say. And I think when he does approach Kamala on the debate stage, he needs to be measured in his responses, but he needs to look like the stronger leader and emphasize his track record with that.
Okay.
Oh man,
I have a
I just think like she is a seasoned prosecutor, and he is an actual moron. And I don't think that she is going to hold back in the ways that Biden held back. He was trying to do like some sort of like
not.
attempt at decorum. The last debate obviously was a disaster, like just the worst in modern history. But I think she is capable of humiliating him in a way that Biden was not. And I think we're going to see that on September 10th.
It's
Also-
going to be a great streaming day either way. Let me read some of these super chats, and then Quinn's finally here. He's finally back. He made it, and so we're going to pull him in. $5 from Running Joke to say, is it true that Kamala had a high staff turnover, and why is that? I'm actually not sure if that's
At the
true.
start, at the start of her vice presidency, she did have a lot of staff leave, and people took that to say that she wasn't a good executive, and also her campaign. I think previously, like when she was a presidential nominee previously, that I think there was a bit of staff turnover. So like people thought like this is a sign that she's not a good, like commander in chief here. But right now, at least things, especially with things on the up and up, things are fine.
Okay. And then
I got one question real quick. Just
let me get my super
yeah, go
chats.
ahead.
Let me get my money, and then I promise we'll pull in Quinn, and he can join our conversation too. China has, this is from Artemis Fowl for $10. China has directly told the U.S. delegation, including Antony Blinken, that the U.S. wasn't negotiating from a position of strength. It's clear Biden and Harris administration is incapable of reining in Israel. And thank you for the $10.
Do you think they have like a little bit of an incentive to say that?
Elaborate.
To say what?
those who are opposed to the U.S. want to seem like they're, stronger, or that, oh, well, they were weak. Oh, well, they said this, kind of.
You're asking us to take an autocrat at his word. I think that's a bit silly.
Yeah.
I mean, why don't we just take it at the evidence? Like Putin didn't invade any country while listen. Here's the argument I would make. Y'all's argument was that I guess he's too stupid. They don't know he can be maneuverability. Why didn't he take any land under Trump? Then was it A because of that, or B was it because he's unpredictable and he's a strong man? And who knows what Trump's going to do if he gets crossed? We all know Trump is petty. So if Putin crosses Trump, he knows that you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. He's going to come over and get a whooping. He knew that. We knew that.
Mercenaries in
Why do you
Ukraine
think North Korea didn't act
Trump's
up?
watch. There were. Hold on. There were Russian mercenaries fighting alongside Ukrainian separatists on Trump's watch. So the fact that he invaded under Biden, that doesn't really tell us anything. The idea that Biden would be seen as less strong when Trump is basically running on ending aid
Everybody
to Ukraine
thought Biden was less strong.
Trump is basically running on forcing Ukraine to surrender and give up territory.
That's not what he's doing.
Ask Putin who he would rather be in office, and he'll say Trump because he knows he'll end aid to Ukraine. And this idea that we got anything from North Korea, what did we get from North Korea?
You got more peace. They were firing in there. They were dropping.
They resumed missile tests before they resumed missile tests after a year, and Kim Jong-un got a photo op with the fucking president of the United States.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you were in favor of normalized relations.
We didn't normalize relations. What are you talking about?
It was the start, wasn't it?
It's still
Why
a
do we need
belligerent
relations with the DPRK?
You're burying the lead
here. You can't have it both ways, bro. You can't have it both ways.
You're burying the lead here. You remember, during the Trump campaign, they exchanged letters, him and Kim Jong-il or Un, and Trump talking about how these are beautiful letters and how he's falling in love with them, right? And then Gibbs tells us, he dragged his balls over his face. What the fuck are you talking about? He literally talked about how much he loved him, how much he liked how when he walked into the room, everyone stood up, right? No respect that a dictator gets, huh? Yeah, there's nothing to imply that he's tough on North Korea. What are you talking about?
I mean, they weren't acting up. They weren't sending trash bombs and fast food.
Hold on. He can't keep getting away with this.
I'm getting away with it.
North Korea resumed their missile
tests. Getting away with it.
They resumed their missile tests. We are in the exact same spot now regarding North Korea than we were in 2000. No, they resumed it on Trump's watch. They continued the missile test on Trump's watch. No, hold on. I want to why are you saying that we normalized relations?
And what did we do right after that? Why did we were on the start of listen, the idea of a president meeting a foreign world leader, that's not the normalization of completely, but at least that's an opening salvo. It's an opening salvo. We got to talk to these motherfuckers and know what's going on in their heads. There's a win from that. There's a win from that, bro.
To know that.
What tangible win?
Just knowing who your enemy is a win,
what does
bro.
That even
Have you
Okay. 1 second. Let's all calm down. Okay. Prime wanted to get in here, and then Quinn, if you have your camera, turn it on, and you can jump in whenever.
Very on this very narrow sliver, right? I'll say that if we remember the Obama campaign long ago, Obama came and talked about I'm going to meet with other foreign leaders, adversaries, without preconditions. And the point was to get a dialogue, right? With Iran. I'm not sure if he actually met with Iran without preconditions. I don't know if that actually happened. But in any case, right, talking with your adversary ended up with his greatest, foreign policy win, which would be the Iran nuclear deal, which Trump, of course, destroyed. But if your narrow point, Gibbs, is that we should be talking to our adversaries rather than just putting reasons why not to, then I guess I can agree with you lightly. But let's not pretend that we got anything. I agree with Hutch there that we didn't actually get anything from this.
Okay, $2 from TL1524. Can Hutch answer a one question without butt Trump?
What are you hearing right now? I've been talking substantively this whole fucking time.
$5.
These people live in a completely different universe. Can you speak fucking English? Do you understand the word that I'm saying? What's going on here?
$5 from Artemis Fowl. The leader of South Korea tried to nominate Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize for initiating and progressing relations with between North and
Wow.
South Korea.
That guy seems like he'd be an
Good for
expert, right?
him.
Wouldn't he be an expert on the state of the region between the president of South Korea? He'd be an expert, right? Would you call him an expert on Korean relations? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes. I'd
Yes.
say.
Okay. Cool. So then I guess we did get something if he's getting over here getting peace prizes and shit or nominated for them.
He
I'm the leader.
anything.
Well,
I
to
mean,
be
hey,
clear,
check
to be
that
clear,
out.
he wasn't actually
You took a-
nominated.
You took a
What
whooping on that one.
happened?
You took a loss on that one. You don't know more than the
I
president
can
of South
say
Korea.
I'll nominate
Can I just-
somebody for something too.
Can we just lay out like what happened, and then you can say if you disagree? Like Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un got into a dick measuring contest on Twitter, and then that resolved with Trump taking a trip to the DMZ. They did a photo
measure the
op,
dick against
and then North Korea pledged to stop the missile tests and start the normalization talks with South Korea. That didn't happen. A year later, it didn't happen. He's still a belligerent rogue dictator. He resumed the missile tests, and there was no normalization with relations with South Korea. They're technically still at war. So they
Hey,
got,
y'all guys.
do you disagree with that?
Yeah, trust Hutch over the president of South Korea for his expertise on the North
Hold on.
Korean.
Do you disagree with
conflict.
what I just said?
I do disagree. I mean, apparently the South
What do
Korean
you
part
think
is
president at
wrong?
the time
Hold on,
disagrees.
Gibbs. Out of the timeline, just to be clear, out of the timeline that Hutch put forth, which particular part was incorrect?
Which particular part was
Yes,
incorrect?
specifically.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Okay, I'll play this game. Did North Korea go back to testing afterwards? No, none of this timeline is incorrect per se. However, he's also painting it in a very incorrect light. One of those is, hey, this guy went over there to go talk, and even if we did go do a dick measuring contest, I don't know why any North Korean would want to have a dick measuring contest with an American. First of all, America's
Propaganda.
the best, biggest dicks ever.
Propaganda.
Secondly, Trump went over there, and we got our State Department got to see inside, talk to their State Department officials. We got to speak to our enemy. You know, what's the art of war say? You know, if you know yourself, you'll win 50%. You know your enemy, 50%. You know both, 100%. South Korea's president, like we already wanted to nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize
I want to make
for
sure
advancing
that
relations in the region. Obviously, they thought we got something out of it, but
I
hey,
gotta
Hutch
ask
knows
you
more
a
than
question.
the guy.
Okay.
Hutch knows more than him.
We've gone through this enough.
gotta
This has
ask my
been
question.
fun. Quinn is here now. He came on yesterday and promised me that he'd show up and he would be on time. He wouldn't cancel or anything. He was one of the reliable ones. He was one of the ones who would never fail me. And here he is an hour later. What are your thoughts on the presidential race?
deserve it.
Go ahead.
I deserve all the spankings. I deserve it. Oh man. Talk shit, get hit. Awick. Foreign policy is not my area of expertise. I've said it many times before on various platforms. So I'm just kind of like, I'm gonna leave that aside. I think in general, what I'm hearing mostly is like vibes are better with Trump than the vibes with Kamala or the vibes with Biden, which I don't measure politicians on vibes. I measure politicians on what they actually do get done domestically, principally domestically, but also, foreign policy, because generally speaking, both in terms of how the presidency was initially designed during the founding and then how it's evolved over time, it's basically been the president and the State Department decide foreign policy, and that is a big way you can judge a
I guess
presidency.
just to be more clear with my question, who do you think
please.
currently is winning the race, and who do you think should win the race?
Face Oliver. Sorry, I had to. But no, I mean, of the two, I will unfortunately not join my boy and say, the gun would go off if you maybe choose between Kamala and Trump. I would pick Harris between the two, but why she's winning is mostly just, again, the vibes seem better with her. There's literally no policy on her website. There's mostly, I'm writing an article. It's literally going to come down today after this live stream, but it's talking about how essentially the bargain with Harris is, hey, vote for me, just trust me. And she's allowing people to sort of imprint onto her whatever policies or ideas or vibes they want. She's even articulating the lie that she wants people to believe. She's just letting them make it up for themselves, which is the most, it's not even crazy. It's just so patronizing and shoddy of an approach to politics, but it's working. So I would say she's got a real shot. She has a better shot than Biden did at this point, or would have had at this point. But yeah, I'm not a fan of either, to be honest.
Okay, and with that, let's get
Who?
back.
Sorry, who are you writing an article for?
It's my Substack. It's called the Adequate Editorial.
Gotcha. Are you not familiar with her policy positions?
So everyone is both familiar and unfamiliar with her policy positions that she has changed over time. She has not articulated meaningfully.
Oh, and she changed
any
them.
policy.
Wait.
Yes,
What-
she
what
has
do you-
changed them over
Thank
time.
you.
So hold on. No.
What has she
So to be
changed?
clear, to be clear.
Well, let him finish. Quinn, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So, is she for or against reparations? Just as a baseline. Listen. Just to be clear, she has not articulated a clear policy platform within the calendar year since getting the nomination. At least she's getting the nomination as we speak, because the convention is running, but she was the presumptive nominee going into the convention. She has not articulated a policy platform on her website. She has not made herself available to interviews with the press. I think it's reasonable to say, compared to even Agenda 27, or sorry, Agenda 47, which you might say is like trash, lame, just a bunch of videos, she has not articulated a meaningful policy platform this year in comparison to either her predecessor in Biden or her direct competitor in Trump. Or, again, Chase Oliver, Jill Stein, a number of other candidates. It's cringe.
Would you say
Again,
never
it seems they
is a
work.
fair description?
Well, hold on.
She has
Hutch,
she has
go ahead.
listed like concrete policy positions in terms of like, so healthcare. She talked about expanding the insulin cap to everybody. She talked about codifying Roe. She talked about picking up where Biden left off with the Supreme Court reforms. She's listed like 10 policy positions. It's
So
not
is
as
this-
detailed as like Agenda 47, but she just took over the nomination just a month ago. Like, should there not be like any sort of like grace period to sort of, I mean, we're at the convention now.
Give her a minute. I mean, listen, man.
Wait, didn't the Democratic Party release their platform?
Yes, exactly. The platform that name checks Biden so many times, it does not even acknowledge Kamala as taking over the nomination. Yes, very good point. Thank you for mentioning that, Hutch.
But you just said that she's not running on policy, though.
No. The policy platform the DNC released
Yes,
wasn't
the DNC.
updated. It wasn't updated since Kamala Harris became the presumptive nominee, since Biden dropped out. So, like, it actually makes my point. She is not running on policy. The DNC is running on a policy that they had in place before all these changes happened. This is what I'm talking about. It's vibes. I would love
Damn.
for there to be policy that I could either criticize or praise Kamala for against other candidates. But broadly speaking, there isn't. You talk about things that
Really?
happened in the past. In the past, okay, great. Let's talk about things that happened in the past. Again, reparations. Is he for or against it? Because he did an interview in like 2019 saying she's basically for it. But then you ask her about it today. I don't even know.
Is
I don't
reparations
think
relevant?
reparations is a big issue.
It's not a big issue. Believe me, I'm not taking that as a serious issue. Let's
In
talk
the
about.
election, I mean.
Okay, let's talk about how is she on guns? Does she want to, be a gun grabber, as some people would accuse her of, or does she want to more or less just defend the Second Amendment, like Chase or like most Republicans, or even like a certain number of like blue dog Democrats? Like, what is her position on guns? Any number of things. We don't.
Well,
actually have these
let's see.
answers.
Just for conversation, Hutch. What is her position on guns, as you understand it?
I'm just Googling it right now. Vice President Kamala Harris announces 2 gun safety solutions while continuing the efforts to keep schools safe from gun violence. I would assume she would pick up where Biden left off on his gun policy. He was running on an assault weapons ban. That could be a little bit nebulous, but
nebulous.
Yeah.
Well, let
Really?
Hutch, hold on. I
Because
want
when
to give Hutch a chance
this
to
particular
articulate
policy,
this.
this particular
Specifics.
policy. I'm not sure if she's come out and staked a firm position on like what her like specific gun reform policy would be.
I
don't know.
think that we should
I don't
assume
know.
the status quo, meaning like a continuation of Biden policies until stated otherwise. I think that's a safe assumption. However, I don't have a problem with someone else saying that like that's not good enough for me, right? That like I want a stated policy agenda for them to examine. But for now, I'm willing to just assume status quo.
So I'll point out really quick on that one, just so we're clear. She's actually running against some of the status quo. She's talked about how she wants to make the economy better. She's talked about price controls. So again, this whole thing of like, just assume it's going to be Biden 2.0. Yes, but she's running against the sitting president, and she's talking about how the way that the country is under his leadership, she's not specifically like throwing him under the bus directly, but she is saying like, I want to make things better. Except she's part of the same administration that, quote unquote, wasn't making things better.
So specifically when it comes to gun control, here's a quote. In campaign speeches, Harris has said she will work with Congress to pass several gun safety measures, including universal background checks, red flag laws, and abandon assault weapons. She's been a key leader in the Biden administration on this issue. In that role, she's overseen the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, announced the launch of a new national center to help implement red flag laws, and helped roll out a policy to crack down on unlicensed gun dealers.
What's the date on that one? Just so I know.
What's that?
Just so everybody knows. What's the date on that? You're reading off an article or a press release or something, but what's the date on that? Just to be clear.
No, somebody
Just
in chat
for
linked it.
reference.
Here, I'll link you the article here. It's from The Cut. This is
Okay,
from
appreciate that.
August 20, 2024. So yesterday?
Sweet. Appreciate that.
Where's the chat? How do I put it in chat here?
It should be the group chat in the Discord.
Here. Did you guys
see
get
it?
that?
It's the group chat.
I
that
was
we're all in.
wondering for our right-leaning friends here,
Oh, there it is. Right there.
that what in terms of like what you're hearing from like your circle, right? Or maybe from the media that you consume, right? The conservative media that you might consume. Like what are people excited about Trump for? Like about a possible future Trump presidency? Like I don't, because the reason why it was so hard for me to answer the question from Wick is that it's not clear to me, like, other than the fact that, Trump, our favorite, is back, on the pedestal, and that we won't have Harris. Like, I really don't know what they're excited for. Maybe possibly for them, especially from the evangelicals, a national abortion ban, but he's been saying he's not going to do that, right? So, like, what, even if it's not what you feel is exciting about him, what have you heard?
So just to kind of jump in here, because I am curious of the answer to that question, but just to kind of give my opinion here, I know I'm jumping in. What I am afraid of when it comes to Trump, what if he did, I would be worried that it would be more effective and draw more voters. He needs to really nail down on the legislative, the judicial branch. Point to all the conservative judges from the Heritage Foundation. He took the list, said, I appointed all these justices. Look at the Supreme Court you have now. Look at all the good for the conservatives that it's doing for you right now. If you are a conservative, you want me in the office because I will continue to do that. I've done it before. I'll do it again. He should really hammer home on the economy as well. I think that's a good, strong position that he can make and say, hey, don't you remember what your finances were like in 2018, 2019, 2017 when I was president? Don't you want that again? Now, do I think that's a fair attack, right? Do I think that makes logical sense? No, but it's effective, right? And he also needs to go really, really hard and push on wishy-washy Kamala, right? I think he needs to really just hammer home how she's flip-flopped from 2019 to now on the positions that she has, and then mention things like, oh, I don't know her position. Again, whether these are fair things or not, I don't know, but they're effective, or what I feel would be effective. So that's my answer, but I'm curious what the conservatives have to say. So Daniela, and then Gibbs, go ahead.
Was Prime K's was your question what Republicans think of Trump now? I meant you cut off there for me for a little bit. Could you reiterate
what are you
your
excited?
question?
What are Republicans excited for Trump coming forward?
Oh, okay. Well, beyond the cult of personality, which is clearly present, I do think that a lot of it, like I've been stating many times already, is tied to economy and immigration. I also think a lot of conservatives are just still reeling from COVID 2020, 2021, and some of the issues that they have faced during that time under the Biden administration. So I think that there's a lot of bad blood there still that they are trying to deal with in
Under the Biden
voting for
administration?
Trump. Yeah, and the Biden administration that followed afterwards. Yes.
What COVID policies are you talking about?
Are we not aware of like the businesses that had to get shut down in the multiple states? I live in Washington State, so we have a Democrat governor.
But that was largely in 2020 when Trump was president.
That was partially during the Trump administration, but it did carry over a year after for quite some time for liberal states and Democrat-run states. And Biden did acknowledge a lot of
Yes,
those.
don't
What does that have to do
revisionist
with-
history this.
Yeah, let's not pretend like
Come
that
on,
didn't
let's
happen.
pretend that didn't happen.
What
So,
are you
I'm not gonna-
talking about? If you're talking about
Let me
schools being
jump in.
closed a little too long, that happened in some liberal states, but you're talking about the
Schools
majority
being
of
closed a
the.
It
little bit
wasn't just
fast,
schools
The
being
maj-
closed. I mean, a lot of I
You're
live in
saying-
Washington State, and we had lockdowns one of the longest here. And
The-
so, I mean, it affected
Did
businesses,
Biden
affected
mandate
schools.
that?
So let me jump in here if I may. So just to be clear, I'm going to kind of agree with both of you guys. It happened and started under Trump. So you're kind of moving the goalposts to say it didn't, or to say like it was a Biden thing. It happened under both.
That was the bulk of
Happened
it.
under both. Happened under both. Happened under both. I'm just going to speak as somebody who was former Californian. These, depending on where you were, lasted. I mean, technically, I think only this year, California was like, we've officially lifted the state of emergency. Da da da. So, like, it happened and extended under various places and various areas, but it started technically under the Trump presidency in Democrat-run states, but under the Trump presidency. So, you're both right in
Ye-
a sense.
Well, I'm looking for
Yes, and-
specific Biden policies. You're saying like
Yeah,
Biden
right,
stuff.
but the
What did-
question was what Republican and conservative thinkers think, right? I'm sorry, voters think, and what they think, and a lot of the rhetoric that I've been seeing with the I'm very much aware that this happened under Trump. I was very critical of Trump's approach to COVID actually when it was occurring, but what I'm seeing with Republicans and conservatives is that they are still reeling from COVID and some multiple effects that have affected their businesses and their children in schools during COVID. And I think a lot of that they orient that with the Biden administration and Biden's approach to like the COVID issue. And
Meaning what? What
well,
policy?
it's-
What Biden policy?
if as far as I'm aware, I'm pretty sure that he was very much in favor of the lockdowns, and he was
No.
in favor of pushing. Biden wasn't in favor of lockdowns at all.
No, the vaccine, the big COVID policy for Biden the first few months was helping to distribute the vaccines, and so he marshaled all these federal forces to coordinate with state governments to make sure that everybody was within 5 miles of a vaccination site.
Oh, this
I
is
don't know
like
what
so
you're talking about
easily be
with
fact checkable. I
lockdowns.
just pulled a CNN article up in 10 seconds that says Biden is talking about lockdowns for the foreseeable future. And this is after he's taken office. You're lying. You're lying,
way.
or you're
No,
incorrect.
Give me a policy. What are you talking
what?
about? Biden was
Bro,
talking
you are
about
literally being dishonest right now. Like you are literally denying reality.
Give me
That's
a
what you're
policy.
doing. I
Give
just
me a
gave you.
policy.
We will
didn't.
see
Did he
Biden-
back
People were talking
He
about
legislation?
things.
Did he
Right,
Hold on,
do
back
executive
guidelines
order?
and restrictions amid rising COVID cases. That's literally a scene. I'll post it in the thing. He literally backed this. The administration said they're good, and so you're sitting here acting like he didn't do it at all. Like this is
Put
just
it in the
dishonest.
chat.
We're
I want
saying
to
he
see what
didn't
you're
I
looking
will.
at here.
states.
Yeah,
I mean, I literally took
can't
me 10
comment on
seconds to
till I
pull this
see it.
up, but I literally took 10 seconds to pull it. I got 50 of them talking about Biden saying he wants lockdowns. Biden's responses to COVID. Biden's like, you're acting like he didn't say lockdowns were a thing, like, and didn't put them in. And you're saying it's just dishonest. It's just
talking
dishonest.
about-
We're saying he didn't put them in. Yes, like we're not saying that he,
He
didn't
continued them
advocate
for
for it.
way longer than conservatives think.
The
This is what
federal
you're doing.
government
Hold
doesn't.
on.
The federal
This is
government
what you're
doesn't
doing.
do that.
This
The
is how
federal
dishonest
government-
you're being.
Hold on.
I did.
The federal government is not in charge of lockdowns. We're talking about state governments. The federal government issues guidelines, and then the state governments can do with
Yes,
those
You're
what
that's
they
what I'm
wish.
you're missing her whole point. You're missing
Well,
That's
her
my
whole
let
point.
Daniela make it. Let Daniela make it.
No, that
Daniela?
was initially my point. Is that the ideological narrative that he has posed during this time was to push these states, or rather to encourage these states, or the states that have done it, to extend the lockdowns, and that aggravated a lot of people. So, and again, the original question is what conservatives, what Republicans, what is their consensus, what is their idea of the Biden administration, and why do they want to vote for Trump, right? I don't think a majority of voters are thinking of specific policies that Biden tried to pass or Biden tried to impose during this time. I'm talking about the overall the overall attitude surrounding it, as like, and Gibbs has said what he's confirming what I've already said, is that he did try to push this narrative about the lockdowns,
It's
and
not
that is encouraged.
narrative. It's not narrative. We're talking about
How-
guidelines during a time when deaths
So he
spiked.
did push this.
spiked- during the Delta wave, deaths spiked higher than at any point in the pandemic. We had anywhere between like 2,000 and 5,000 people dying every day. And then the federal government offered guidance to the states saying that if you guys
Well,
want
thank you
to
for
like bring deaths
agreeing with
down
my
and
point,
hospitalizations
You're literally
down.
proving our point, Hutch.
That's my point.
That's not a specific policy. That's the
I
FDA
didn't-
or
Literally
whatever
just
giving
dunked on yourself.
guidelines. No, you guys don't understand what the.
I
Okay,
didn't
if you guys want to
suggest
run
you-
if you want to run on COVID grievance, fine. I don't think that's going to be a very salient
Yes.
issue in 2024.
Listen, can I have a statement here? Basically, in this conversation, I kind of wonder how effective it is to discuss what people think, because like obviously there are these overarching narratives. We can all agree that this is what conservatives think, but then it's like, if we argue whether or not it's true, that's not the question. Like we can all kind of agree, yes, conservatives thought that Biden was making everybody go into lockdown in these states and blah blah blah, and they were upset about it and they're still upset about it. We can all agree that this happened. But where's where do we go from there in this discussion?
Well, the question
Well,
is, do we think?
I was
And I
answering the
think that,
question.
hold on. I think Hutch made an interesting statement at the end. Do we think this is going to be salient? Right? Do we think that this is going to affect the outcome of the race today? Are people, when they go to the
Nope.
polls in November, are they going to be voting on the lockdowns that happened during 2020? Do we
No.
think
To some
that
extent,
has
maybe, but they're not going to be voting
I
on
would like
that
to answer
in
the last
terms of-
question.
Hold on, I want to hear from Quinn first, then we'll go back to you.
Sure. I'll just say, like, again, Kamala is taking advantage of the opportunity to run as a kind of pseudo. What's the term? Like she's basically running as if this is 2028 and it's the end of the Biden era, and she can just like carve her own ticket, completely independent of the previous administration. So she's going to run against whatever she needs to run against implicitly, not without not throwing Biden under the bus by name, but just basically saying I'm going to be different. So yeah, they're not going to vote for her if they vote for her, thinking like this is a vote for the Biden administration. This is a vote for continuation of stuff that I didn't like. They're going to vote for her based off of those things, or they're going to vote for Trump based off of liking Trump, based off of, again, vibes, being good with Trump. It's basically irrelevant, broadly speaking, what they perceive Biden as.
Yeah, on the COVID thing, I've just been sent a few links. So apparently, the Biden administration did try to implement some mandates, but the Supreme Court
Yeah, they were for
knocked it
federal
down.
workers. For federal workers, there were vaccine mandates, and then the Supreme Court overturned it.
Supreme
Yeah,
Court
but
knocked it down. So
lockdowns-
that would be
Yeah, that's different from a
that would be
lockdown.
Trump running on. Look at the Supreme Court I gave you. I'll keep
We're
giving you
stopping the
Supreme
Biden.
Court.
Yeah, but like the lockdowns. Do I sound any different? Do I sound a little louder
Sound
to you?
Sound
A little
all
bit.
Sounds sadder.
Sound all right.
Okay, that's
Cheer
fine.
up.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Go
All
on.
right. Gaza's still under threat. Yeah, I'm very sad. But in any case, my understanding could be wrong here, right? I'll admit within my progressive circle, like my bubble, we don't talk about the lockdowns in the same way our conservative friends do. So like my historical memory of this is a bit shoddy. I've been trying to look it up. But I think, for the federal workers, he like work at home policy he might have had, right, to keep them away. But like specifically locking down, I'm looking for it, but I don't know if there was a mandate to shut down businesses. I think that was a state level initiative, and which is why conservative states like Florida just
Well,
fucking
the
ignored
Secretary
it,
of
right?
Labor is what is the source of it, right? The federal Secretary of
Yeah.
Labor tried to implement it, and it again was overturned.
I
So
found
But
an
wasn't
article that
lockdown,
said
though.
President
That wasn't lockdown.
an advisor for Biden, like when he was president-elect, right? So when he was coming into office, stated that they were, for lockdowns. But so far, I haven't found anything else. But there might be some more, but I just haven't found it yet.
Well,
The
I'll
whole
just put
issue
the
is-
Just to
Money.
clarify, these things that were federal that got overturned by the Supreme Court, that was just for federal employees, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm
Right. So
fairly
wouldn't
sure.
wouldn't Republicans and conservatives, wouldn't their opinion kind of be more on the lines of, if you don't like how the federal government or any workplace is running things, don't work there? Like, you don't have to work for the federal government.
Look, I'm just saying what's being reported to me. I don't know if it makes sense or not. I'm just reporting
I'm
it as
just
I
saying.
see it.
The whole issue gets muddied because the president doesn't have the authority to lock businesses down across the country. That's state and local
Right,
governments
which-
making these decisions.
So I
May
guess
I answer your question you asked? I never even got the answer. Wait.
by all means.
Yeah, so we were talking about the feels. I think what's really happened, and we're talking about what conservatives feel. I think when we got this pushback here from the dishonest Dems and wouldn't even let us get to me answer this question, it really shows what we're talking about. They don't understand conservatives, right? We could look at like the BLM protests during COVID, right? And the BLM insurrection that cost $20 billion in damage to local communities. That was harmful to a lot of business owners, many of which were conservatives in these states. They're angry, right? And that was something that Maxine Waters advocated for. The Biden response was slow on.
Stop.
Yeah, listen, Papa.
No,
you can talk.
stop.
You
what
can,
you're saying is nonsense.
You can talk in a second. I listened to you for hours. I've been waiting quietly.
No,
everyone tries. Hold on. Everyone tries to interrupt at once, and then no one can hear it. Gibbs, finish your point quickly.
Hold on. Why do I got to quickly? Hold on. Why do I got to
lying about
every
Maxine
time I
Waters.
go, I get interrupted and it turns into a whole thing.
Because you lie.
I'm not lying. You're lying. First
You're
of all,
a liar.
hold on. Let me give you an example where you lied in this own conversation. You know what? I'm done playing. I'm done playing nice. Let me give you an example.
I don't
First of all, you're so dishonest and bad faith. First of all, you said in this own conversation you knew her policies. Then when they challenged you on the gun laws, guess what you did? You said, "Well, I don't know what her gun policies was." Clearly, that means guess what? You don't know them, so they're not clearly defined. And then what word did you use, motherfucker? You said nebulous. Nebulous. The same word I used earlier to describe her policies. You go, "Oh, policies were nebulous." Oh, and then I clarified you couldn't even name 5, bro. You can't name any of them.
You just lied about Maxine Waters. You just said that Maxine Waters advocated for rioting.
She did. When Quinn joined, we all know her quote.
You're lying.
When Quinn joined, Quinn also said her policies were nebulous. Oh, is Quinn lying too about the nebulous policy? I guess everybody's lying
about
except for you, bro.
Okay.
And you don't know about the South Korean president Nobel Peace.
Thank you.
We gotta keep order. Hold on.
Can we let Gibbs finish though? He was trying to respond.
Hold on.
We're gonna unmute him. Hold on. I'm gonna mute the rest of you if you guys don't stop because I'm trying to get order back in this court here. Okay, let me do my job. I promise I can do it. Okay, so we do want to hear Gibbs. So here's the deal.
I don't.
I understand, but my audience does. So we're going to let him finish.
Wait, can you press him on Maxine Waters? He just said that Maxine Waters advocated for rioting. Can you ask him to prove that with a quote?
Absolutely, but I want to hear what else he has to say so we can do it all at once and don't have to interrupt every 10 seconds. Cool. Gibbs, finish your point.
Yeah, I mean, so conservatives are mad about all these things. Economically, we feel betrayed on the border. No one gave a shit about the border until we, Texas started shipping them up to New York. And then all of a sudden, problems. Chicago, they had local people crying about the border stuff. And we're like, hey, wow. We've been saying this for a problem. All these things are things conservatives are up in arms about. We're pissed. We're mad. And then when we sit here and tell you all these things, we have what happens with Hutch, and we're dismissed out of hands. What makes us even more mad, because you're like, oh, this didn't happen. This is bullshit. And it's like, bro, we all saw the riots. We all saw the lockdowns in these states. These all happened. You said, oh, but Trump, Biden didn't put anything forward. His message was, oh, I think y'all should. And then he implemented, things within federal programs, which implemented, hey, I believe this, and I'm going to put it forward. So these are, he did. Y'all just said he found restrictions on
labor secretary.
On the labor secretary. Is he appointed by Biden? Who appoints the labor secretary? I forgot. It's Biden.
Right, let's wrap it up.
Yeah. So my point, listen, Papa, I don't ever ask you to wrap it up. And so my point is here, whenever time we go and sit here and go, hey, conservatives don't have a point, when you have no feelings and you'll just dismiss them out of hand, that makes them even more mad, which gives us more ammo because y'all are just denying reality.
Okay. Maxine Waters, let's start with that one. You said that Maxine Waters called for rioting. Can you show me a statement or
sure,
a
give me
clip?
5 seconds. I'll pull it up.
No, he's referencing when he's referencing when she said that the protesters need to get more confrontational. She didn't. She is a product of the civil rights movement, civil disobedience. She never came out and said, "Go out there and riot." No Democrat did. No Democrat did.
May I jump in here? Okay, I'm going to split the difference again. I'm not trying to be like Mr. Radical Centrist, I promise, but this is like a reasonable thing to argue about. Listen, Gibbs is interpreting the statement way he's interpreting it. Maybe you could say bad faith. Maybe you could just say from his vantage point. You, Hutch, are interpreting it the way you're interpreting it. I would say a little overly charitably, let's be honest. Get confrontational sounds cringe to me, especially in the summer of Floyd, especially now. Maybe you could say hindsight is 2020. But ultimately, I would say I'm going to give this to Gibbs in the sense of even if he was exaggerating, he was directionally correct. And I'm not going to apologize or do apologia for someone else. Hey, I'm not a Democrat, but even if I was, I'm not going to do apologia for Maxine Waters in this case. I think he's directly correct, and we just got to give it to him,
Well,
frankly.
it says the confrontational quote is from 2021 after the Chauvin trial verdict. It wasn't during the Summer of Love stuff.
All right, even more so. That's what I mean. Like after the Summer of Floyd, saying protests should get confrontational, I think is very much cringe and not the kind of thing that politicians should be saying.
Right, but
I'm just
then you're moving the goalpost. He claimed that they, encouraged rioting Democrat politicians during the Summer of Love.
Hyperbole. I'm not gonna listen. I don't agree with Gibbs on a lot of stuff. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a Trump supporter. But can we at least acknowledge again? He's directionally correct, and he's talking about something that he understands from his vantage point, not just making
really
something up.
directionally correct.
No, I think he's lying. I think he's not.
Everybody's feelings are valid except for Gibbs.
Okay, $5. What you know what's most valid? The $5 that just got given to me. Okay, the $5 from Des DeCon to say regarding turnover. The Brookings Institute tracked Trump's executive turnover and found a 92% turnover rate with Trump's executive team. Most now find him unfit. So I guess we are wrapping up. We are coming to the end of this, and this is the final question for the conservatives on the panel. Then we're going to go to closing statements. So my final question for conservatives on the panel, with so much of Trump's former administration not coming publicly against Trump, saying he's unfit to serve, unfit to lead, with so many of them abandoning him, what makes you confident that Trump will be an effective president in 2024? We're going to start with Daniela, then go to Gibbs, and Quinn's not a conservative, but we'll throw him in there too.
This is in reference to the article that you have, or the Brookings Institute article that you just referenced.
To the fact that there have been a multitude of former Trump employees in his administration who have publicly come out against Trump, saying he is unfit to serve for office.
That's what the way I look at it is that that's what you're going to have with obviously a very volatile person. And that doesn't surprise me one way or the other. I still think, and I'm not necessarily, and I've stated this before, I'm not necessarily an all or nothing Trump person. I simply think that he is a better choice compared to whatever Kamala and Biden stand for, especially as far as Biden's concerned. Kamala leaves some more room to consider, but as so far from what I've seen, I still don't think she has any positions that would waver me to her side. But as far as the economy is concerned, as far as immigration is concerned, the two leading issues, and his approach to...
Just real quick, what could she say or do that would turn you from a Trump voter into a Harris voter? I'm just
what I've
curious.
said before that. Yeah, what I've said before is her stance and her message on those two issues, economy and immigration, specifically economy, though.
What specifically on the economy could Harris say or do or promise to implement that would say, she's got my vote?
Become a libertarian.
Right. It's more of a deeper, bigger question than just specific policies. But for instance, like I think her most recent position on the capital gains tax, I think was a very poor decision to make. Sorry, can you hear me? Did my Wi-Fi cut out?
No, you're fine. Keep going.
No, okay, cool. Like for instance, her recent positions on the capital gains tax, or some of her approach to the housing, or she had a policy on that on the housing issue, I think are very foolish decisions, especially right now in the campaign trail. If she would posit policies that I think would just benefit the economy better, but also not even specific policies, just focus on the message more in her campaign than the other issues that she's been trying to focus on, I think would be best for her campaign, and her image as a candidate. And I just haven't seen that as much as, yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you, are you aware that the capital gains tax is proposed for anything above $100 million threshold? We're not talking about all capital gains. We're talking about capital gains above 100 million.
So she specifically just mentioned that part, the 100 million. Yeah. I still don't think this is a good. I don't think that's a good option. Regardless, I'm opposed to most taxes, for other than a select few. I don't think her positing or encouraging more taxes right now on the campaign trail is necessarily a wise choice. for most Americans to hear that. I don't think that's a really good idea for her campaign. And if she starts that conversation, obviously more conversations about taxes are going to follow afterwards. So I don't think that's a really good
Is it
idea.
100 million or 100,000?
100 million.
100 million.
That's a lot of
We're talking
zeros.
about the
I
one
thought it was
we're talking about the-
100,000, but
All right,
It's-
I'm
we're
gonna
I
talking
think
about
it was
the-
100.
source. That's what I'm gonna say. Somebody find me a source.
Okay.
It's
I,
100
I'm not.
million.
I'm not gonna posit like I know 100% because I thought it was 100,000 too. But I'm just gonna assume Hutch is right here, so I'm just going to take his word for it.
Don't do that.
But
You said
still,
this
The,
all the whole
Bi-
time.
the Biden budget calls for new taxes on wealthy Americans, corporations, and business owners, including a controversial idea to tax unrealized capital gains as income for those with more than $100 million.
Okay.
We're talking about the
seems to
1%
be-
of the one.
seems
We're
to be
talking about
the-
the 1% of the 1%. I mean, the Biden administration, they didn't raise taxes on anybody making under 400,000. She's pledged to continue that. So yeah.
Okay. Did you finish your statement, Danielle? I want to make sure you got.
oh, sorry, I was just trying to confirm that. But regardless, I'll just take his word for it. Yeah, I guess what I was trying to remember, I was saying, focus on the economy and immigration. I think are the two main things that make her campaign stronger. So,
Okay.
and those are the two issues that I think would make me reconsider her over Trump. But so far, I just haven't seen anything that would make me
Gotcha.
go that direction.
So Gibbs, the question is at hand is, given all of the former Trump administration that has publicly come out against him, what makes you think that Trump will be a good president in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do a little bit of y'all's favorite game and do a little whataboutism here. I mean, under Kamala, her turnover rate's been 92%. It's actually been higher than both Biden's and Trump's administration, according to OpenTheBooks.com. So I'm finding this pretty interesting that this is like a talking point. And then you talked about staffers under Trump. Well, I've seen a lot of angry staffers coming out now. They've been giving interviews to all sorts of conservative outlets that were working under Kamala, complaining about how terrible it was, how evil she was, et cetera, et cetera. So and these actually don't hold much water with me. Because I don't really have a concern about people being mad at their former boss. Just like who likes their former bosses? I mean, I maybe have 2 bosses I ever worked for that I liked, right? Everybody hates their former boss. That's not gonna really sell me on anything. I mean, I think that kind of what Danielle was saying, the policy is really where he wins. Talking about the economy. I mean, she just, what was it, 15 hours ago, she posted all of her tax rate hikes. Some of these other tax rate hikes include things like the small business small business tax hike being up to 39.6%. I'm a small business owner. I want to pay 40% for my small business tax, and I'll post the link in here. It's a tax website that posts all these. She's got a ton of these tax hikes that she's listed here, and they're awful and they're bad for small business. And like I said, Danielle said, I wasn't even a big Trump guy. It's just I have to choose between Trump, who's like Bill Clinton Jr., he's a New York Republican, which is basically a Democrat, or Kamala, which is the second coming of the Antichrist. I mean, it's terrible. I just have no choice here, and I have to vote for Trump.
You were the one that brought up turnover, and you're saying it's nothing but staffers. We're talking about the vice president. We're talking about the secretary of state. We're talking about the secretary of defense. We're talking about the chief of staff. These are all people coming forward and saying he is
I didn't bring
not
up turnover rate.
fit
Wick brought up turnover rate.
Hutch, I will grant you it's a false equivalency. Can you let people finish so we can move on?
He was finished.
I was finished.
Gibbs was done. So Hutch did
That was the
not
one time he
interrupt
hadn't
in that
interrupted me.
case.
The one time he hadn't interrupted me.
It was fine. Trust me. I'm okay. I can get this done. I promise you. Okay, so for the lib side, what are you most excited about when it comes to voting for Kamala? Or are you excited? Or is this just a hold your nose and vote? I want to hear from Katyusha first. What are you most excited? And then we'll go to Hutch. And then we'll just go to closings.
I'm excited about the potential for some of these new policies, on the housing stuff that she's been kind of talking about recently, as well as some kind of some of these other suggestions and changes. Not that I all think they'll be implemented. I mean, what politician implements everything? But it's really pointing, I think, in a direction I like. And I am kind of, excited about potentially a different, slightly or more than slightly different perspective on foreign policy from her than Joe Biden. A little bit of a departure. And, of course, I'm excited for, to vote for somebody who did not do an insurrection and try to stay in power past when he was supposed to.
Okay, thank you. Hutch, what you got?
The policy stuff does excite me. I have some questions about the price gouging thing. I'll leave that to more economics focused people, but the other policies that she's presented are policies that I can get behind. But I'm pragmatic, so I don't assume that all those policies are going to be possible with the next Congress. It all depends on if we can win a trifecta. But policy aside, what I'm most excited about is if we can have, this would be 4 straight really good election cycles for Democrats. I think it will plunge the Republican Party into an even deeper state of chaos, and we can finally close the door on this ridiculous MAGA chapter in our nation's history that has just been so profoundly embarrassing on so many levels. And I'm looking forward to watching the Republican Party fumble around and try to figure out what to do next. I don't think it's going to go well for them if we win again.
Okay. Gang, that's our show. Thank you for coming today. To my audience, I appreciate you. To the donators, I extra appreciate you. So thank you for all the money. Keep giving it to me. If you've enjoyed the show, if you want this kind of content, if you think this was an interesting segment, please like that stream. Please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. And I'm going to give the microphone to each of these individuals to tell you where you can find them and any brief closing thoughts, and then we'll just kind of we'll end out. We're going to start with Quinn, and we're just going to go around, and we're going to end with Hutch. Quinn, closing thoughts. Where can people find you?
Hey, so I am Quinn, also known as Etta Quinn. You can find me, I would say you can find me everywhere. Find me online, just EDOKWIN on all platforms. I write the Etta Quinn editorial on Substack. I have a pretty prolific Twitter account. I would just encourage people to not buy into the vibe election or the duopoly. You can consider other principled candidates like Chase Oliver, because he actually has a policy platform and it's based off of a political theory that goes beyond just vibes. Leave it there.
Okay, check him out, gang. Even though he was late, super late, thank you for coming. I appreciated your contribution. Prime Kai, what do you got?
First, I just want to say I really appreciate the conversation. Thank you, Wick, for being so kind as to invite me. Wick is a fantastic individual. And so if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, please, to his content. And then thank all the participants here. Gibbs, one of my favorite people. Love you, man. And to all the rest, you're all new to me. But it was very, very nice talking to each and every one of you. I'll send you all friend invites. I'd love to have conversations with you in the future. But anyway, so my name is Prime Kai. I do debates. We have a lot of fun. We yell at each other. It's even more chaotic. And that's the way we love it. And more toxic. So come find me, twitch.tv or youtube.com/PrimeKai, PrimeCayes. That's where you'll find me. Thanks so much. Yeah, we stream Mondays and Thursdays, 7, 8 p.m. Thank you.
Check him out, gang. If you like me, right, or you hate me, blame Prime Kai. He's where I got my start. I used to go on a show all the time when I was able to stay up a little later than I am these days. It's a great show.
You're old. Yeah, that's true.
I am super old. It's true. 41, actually. Katyusha, what do you got?
Okay, so I had a lot of fun talking to y'all. Thank you so much for inviting me on here, despite me being a complete nobody. So follow me on the Twitter that I made last week. It's at Premier Katya. And so yeah, had fun talking to y'all.
No, thanks for going. I try to put people from all walks of life, all sides of the aisle, all levels of clout together. Again, people gave me a chance when I had 0 viewers. I like to give other people a chance when they have 0 viewers. Links to all these people will be in the YouTube description if you are lazy and want to check that out. Gibbs, give us a thought.
Hey, I am Admiral Gibbs. I'm a conservative here on Twitch. Closing thoughts. It was fun to hand out some whoopings tonight. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me, Wick. Good times as always. Prime, you the bomb. Really, we still need to talk about Acolyte. It'll come around soon. Everybody keep on keeping on. Hope to see y'all soon.
Okay, thanks. Daniela.
Yes, my name is Daniela Pensack, and I go by just Pensack Danielle on Twitter. Follow me on there. I also have a Substack as well called The Dialectic Project. as well as a YouTube channel, yet I still have to upload on there. Keep up on my Twitter if you're interested in future projects. I am working on a few streaming future projects, so I will definitely be doing that as well. But Daniela Pensac on Twitter and the Dialectic Project on Substack. And I had a lot of fun on this panel. Thank you so much for inviting me, Wick. It's very spirited. I'm glad we've reached some. We haven't reached any. Actually, I don't think we've reached any agreements, but it did leave room for me to think about a lot of things, and I enjoyed it.
Thank you. It's always good to have a different perspective, and I appreciate you coming out. I'll link to her Twitters in the YouTube description. Check it out, gang. And last but certainly not least, Hutch.
Yep, my name is Hutch. You can find me on Twitch at Hutch. You can find me on Twitter at Hutchinson. YouTube is Hutch as well. I enjoy spirited debates, so even if it gets a little saucy sometimes, I can compartmentalize. So I hope I didn't burn any bridges tonight. Gibbs, I hope you find a spiritual path and find your way to honesty. I think it's going to be really good for you in the future. And yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
That was fun. I really enjoyed it, gang, and we'll be doing these more in the future. I like this segment, so we will have it again. Probably not every week, but we'll probably do this at least twice a month. Probably as things ramp up and we have more events and October comes around, we might do it more often. But thanks, and we will rate out. And so say hi to I'm really important for us, okay? So wait, bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, bye, bye. Okay, give it like 3 seconds.
This was fun. Oh, sorry. You still reading.
This was fun.
Okay, now